Chapter 369. After the drawing of lots, Tang Zheng was unable to maintain his good luck. He had to fight with the Siamese Sampa to qualify for the finals. Sampa was in high spirits and was very excited. "I can finally have a battle with you. Then my trip this time has not been in vain," Sonba said with high fighting spirit. Sampa's goal was very clear. He came for Tang Zheng. The champion of the martial arts tournament was not very attractive to him. This time, he would be able to compete with Tang Zheng in a fair and square match. This was what he wanted. This time, Yu Zhankoe appeared again. He looked at the two with a fake smile and said, "I wish the two of you a great victory. Go on stage." The Western Mutu glared at Tang Zheng and said, "I hope you don't lose. I'm still waiting to fight with you." Looking at the burly Mutu, Tang Zheng's 1.8 m height seemed thin and small compared to his opponent's 2 m height. He said without fear, "Don't worry. I will definitely beat you in the finals. Then I'll wait and see," Mutu said with a murderous look. Tang Zheng and Songbao walked up to the stage, and immediately, the cheers of the crowd seemed to break through the sky. Thousands of pairs of eyes stared at the two of them, especially Tang Zheng, who was the focus of most of them, and Sampa did not seem to hear the cheers around him. He only had one person in his eyes, Tang Zheng. His fists gradually clenched. Under his dark skin, the veins bulged like pythons coiling around his arms. It was extremely terrifying. "I hope you will use your full strength to fight with me," Sampa said firmly. Tang Zheng said, "Then let's see if you have enough strength to force me to use my full strength." Sampa did not get angry. Instead, his eyes lit up. Facing such a strong opponent was a rare opportunity for him. Roar! Sampa let out a low roar as he tapped the ground with the tip of his foot. A steel-like flying kick swept towards Tang Zheng. Pa! The air was compressed and exploded. Before the flying kick hit Tang Zheng, he felt a strong gust of wind coming towards his neck. Sampa's first move was aimed directly at his neck. If he couldn't dodge in time, his neck would definitely be broken. This was an absolute killing move. Sampa had participated in countless underground boxing competitions, so every move and style was aimed at defeating the opponent, and also to make the opponent lose the ability to resist. Tang Zheng quickly raised his arm and blocked the side of his neck. Bang! The flying leg swept across the arm, but the arm did not move at all. Instead, the flying leg bounced back and swept across the railing of the arena. With a cracking sound, the railing was directly bent by the kick. Hiss! The audience sucked in a breath of cold air. How strong was that? Even a hollow steel pipe as thick as a baby's arm was kicked to pieces. Sampa had not yet landed on the ground when he attacked again with his elbow. This time, he went straight for Tang Zheng's chest. Tang Zheng also attacked with his elbow. When the two elbows collided, Sampa took a small step back. Obviously, in terms of strength, Sampa was slightly inferior. However, Sampa was not afraid. He would only be excited if the opponent was strong enough. The blood in his body was almost boiling and flowing faster. His tan cheeks were also a little red. He suddenly let out a low roar and used both his fists and legs. In an instant, he attacked 9 times in a row. As far as the eye could see, there were only afterimages. However, each of these afterimages contained a terrifying power that was enough to kill. Tang Zheng's counterattack was even faster. His hands seemed to have disappeared, and only afterimages could be seen. However, he completely blocked the opponent's attack. After a while, the two people's speed became faster and faster. Only 2 figures could be seen moving and dodging in the arena. It was extremely dangerous. The arena suffered. It was unknown how many holes had been added to it, and some of the railings were twisted like fried dough twists. This was the result of being affected by the impact of the 2 people. The referee who was originally standing on the stage saw this, and had already jumped off the stage. Under such a battle, staying in the arena was simply courting death. The audience held their breaths. Although the previous few matches were exciting enough, allowing them to feast their eyes and experience the true charm of Kung Fu. However, this match made them understand the horror of Kung Fu and its huge destructive power. Those who were anti-martial arts shut up one after another. It was as if their throats were grabbed by someone, and they could not breathe. Who said that Huaxia's kung fu is just showy and impractical? Let them see what this is. This is Huaxia's kung fu. This is the real killing technique. The audience was in an uproar. They all shouted Kung Fu Bro's name. The cheers were like an avalanche. In the VIP box, Lewis watched the battle in the arena with burning eyes. Muta stood beside him respectfully. Mutu, what are your chances of winning against him? Lewis asked. Muta said confidently, Young Lord, I am very confident. Lewis's mouth curled up and said, Oh, you are so confident. Of course, no matter how strong he is only an ordinary human. How can he be my opponent? Muta said resolutely. Ordinary human? Haha, I didn't think that the martial artists in Huaxia could reach such a level. No wonder our Western Empire didn't obtain the final victory in the war 100 years ago. If we don't get rid of the martial artists, this country can't truly fall into our hands. Lewis's unclenched hands clenched into fists. Young Lord, our defeat 100 years ago will not happen again. Under the leadership of the young Lord, our empire will definitely occupy this fertile land. Muta said, Dong dong. The sound of knocking came. Muta opened the door and saw Wales and Yu Zhankui standing outside. Come in, Lewis said without turning his head. The two entered the room. Yu Zhankui seemed a little reserved. He slightly bent his body and glanced at Lewis from the corner of his eyes. He quickly lowered his head again. Young Lord, this is the chairman of the Martial Arts Association, Yu Zhankui. Wales introduced. Young Lord turned his head to look at him and nodded. Chairman Yu, I have seen all the contributions you have made for our Western Empire. You will receive double the rewards in the future. Yu Zhankui immediately expressed his gratitude. Thank you, young Lord. This is what I should do. You also arranged the draw very late this time, letting Mutu directly advance to the finals. Young Lord said. Yu Zhankui said, Actually, Mr. Mutu directly advancing isn't difficult. We just let Tang Zheng live another day. It turned out that the previous draw was rigged. It had already been decided that the lucky one would be Mutu. This way, Mutu could directly advance and have more time to recover his strength for tomorrow's finals. Young Lord, Siam Sampa is very powerful. If Tang Zheng loses this battle, then Mr. Mutu won't have to deal with him. Yu Zhankui said courteously. Oh, you think that Tang Zheng is not Sampa's opponent? Lewis asked curiously. Yu Zhankui glanced at the ring. The battle between the two was very intense. He pondered and said, Sampa is after all the #1 fighter in Siam. Tang Zheng may not be his opponent. Lewis snorted and said, short-sighted. Yu Zhankui jumped in fright. His expression changed and said, Yes, I only know a little bit of martial arts. I can't see who will win. Lewis said indifferently, Within 10 moves, Tang Zheng will win without a doubt. 10 moves? Yu Zhankui's heart trembled. Was Tang Zheng really that powerful? Now it was obvious that they were in a stalemate. He couldn't see any clues. How could Tang Zheng win within 10 moves? However, no one dared to question Lewis's words. Everyone was focused on the ring. At the same time, Li Xiaotian and the others were also looking at the ring. Li Xiaotian muttered to himself, Tang Zheng's strength has really increased by leaps and bounds. He is really a freak. How can he be so powerful? Li Xiaotian said in her heart that according to Tang Zheng's cultivation speed, it wouldn't be long before she was surpassed by Tang Zheng. However, she didn't know that Tang Zheng's current cultivation was not inferior to hers. Sampa's excited expression had already become very serious. The light in his eyes was slowly fading as he clenched his teeth. From the beginning, Sampa's attacks were especially fierce and had reached his limit. However, Tang Zheng was able to receive all of them without being injured in the slightest. Moreover, Tang Zheng's strength was endless. Moreover, the more he fought, the more ferocious it became. Sampa was gradually feeling the strain. Tang Zheng didn't use his full strength from the beginning. Instead, he waited for the opponent's consecutive attacks. He wanted to see the power of Muay Thai. Muay Thai indeed had its unique points. It didn't have much inner strength, but the strength was fused into the muscles and bones. This was the result of countless tempering. This caused each of Sampa's seemingly simple attacks to be filled with killing moves. However, Tang Zheng had the foundation of true qi. The speed and strength of each of his attacks were superior to that of Sampa's. Therefore, Sampa was feeling more and more tired the more he fought. Gradually, cold sweat appeared on his forehead and dripped down his tan cheeks. Tang Zheng understood that he had squeezed out all of his opponent's strength, so he was ready to end the battle. He took a deep breath, and his true qi surged. A trace of light appeared on his fist. This trace of light wasn't obvious, but Sampa, who was close by, saw it clearly. He couldn't help but gasp. Whoosh! A punch came. This punch didn't seem much different from the previous one, but in Sampa's eyes, it was completely different. This punch was like a mountain pressing down on him, giving him the urge to kneel and beg for mercy. However, Sampa wasn't an ordinary person. He gritted his teeth, gathered all the strength in his body, and met the punch with both fists. One fist against two fists. Tang Zheng's expression was calm. His feet seemed to have grown roots and didn't move at all. Sampa, on the other hand, broke the ring with a boom and sank in. His expression quickly withered, and the light in his eyes gradually faded. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. At the same time, with a loud bang, the ring, which was full of holes, collapsed. Dust flew, and the audience screamed. However, no one looked away because this scene was too exciting and unforgettable. Chapter 370. The audience stared intently at the man standing tall. In an instant, the cheers were deafening, and the three words Kung Fu Bro were shouted out in unison. This book is updated at high speed. Kung Fu Bro wins. Tang Zheng wins. The audience was in high spirits, as if they could melt the slightly chilly winter. One by one, they stood up and waved their fists in excitement. Sampa lay in the ruins, listening to the cheers. His expression was gloomy. He came with great confidence, but he did not expect that he would still be defeated. He climbed up from the ruins, looked at Tang Zheng, and said sincerely, "I lost. I accept it wholeheartedly." "You're not weak either," Tang Zheng praised. His opponent's strength was equivalent to a Xiantian martial artist, but he relied on the strength of his muscles without inner strength to supplement his strength. In the end, he would be powerless. The referee finally recovered from his shock. He looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated gaze and announced, "The winner is Tang Zheng." Sampa turned around and walked away, his figure somewhat desolate. Tang Zheng walked backstage. Fang Shi and the others came up to him and said, "Congratulations, you've defeated another person." Tang Zheng nodded. "Let's go. Tomorrow's finals will definitely not be so easy." He was not too happy. Instead, he was somewhat dignified. That Mutu was definitely not as simple as he seemed. Moreover, he did not know what Lewis's next move was. "Tang Zheng, congratulations." Suddenly, Lewis and the others walked in. Lewis smiled and congratulated him. They looked up and looked at each other in surprise. Li Xiaodian was shocked. She had already guessed the other's identity. She did not expect that Lewis had already come to Beijing. Yidingdang's thoughts were relatively simple. She looked curiously at Lewis. She still remembered the disturbance on campus yesterday. She was guessing the relationship between this person and Fang Shi. Fang Shi smiled like a flower. "Lewis, you're here to watch the competition too?" "Yes, it would be a pity to miss such an exciting match." Sure, you have a very capable boyfriend." Fang Shi nodded. "Thank you." Suddenly, she looked at Mutu. "Hey, you know this person too?" Lewis said, "When I was in China, I had some friendship with Mutu. This time, it just so happens that he's participating in the martial arts conference, so I'm here to cheer him on." Sure. Tomorrow is the showdown between your boyfriend and Mutu. I won't be biased because of you. I will support Mutu. You don't have any objections, right?" Fang Shi said without a care. "Of course I don't care. I believe that Tang Zheng will definitely defeat him. Then we'll wait and see." Lewis said mysteriously. "Tang Zheng, I'm looking forward to your performance tomorrow." Saying this, he casually patted Tang Zheng's shoulder twice and then left with the others. Li Xiaotian looked suspiciously at Fang Shishir and then looked in the direction that Louis disappeared. She was very curious as to why Fang Shishir was so familiar with Louis. Tang Zheng slightly shook his head at her, indicating that she should not act rashly. When there was no one around, Tang Zheng explained to Li Xiaotian the relationship between Fang Shishir and Louis. Li Xiaotian was greatly surprised. This was outside of Li Palace's information. She mischievously asked, "So you and Louis are rivals in love?" "Rivals in love?" Tang Zheng curled his lips. Shishir is already taken. What kind of rival is he? It's just a one-sided love. That's not necessarily true. In this world, there's no wall that can't be dug out. He's not the typical tall, rich, and handsome type. You have to be careful, Li Xiaotian warned. Tang Zheng was not worried in the slightest. When it came to Fang Shishir, he was completely at ease. She definitely would not fall in love with someone else. Don't just make fun of me. Do you think that Louis came to China this time for some other reason? Tang Zheng asked. Li Xiaotian did not understand and said, "Didn't he come to China for the martial arts convention?" Tang Zheng muttered to himself for a moment and said, "Even if he came for the martial arts convention, after the martial arts convention, what other methods do they have? Have you investigated?" Li Xiaotian's face revealed an ashamed expression. Normally, she boasted that Li Palace was the place with the most up-to-date information, but this time, the Rockefeller family's intentions were very mysterious. Just as Tang Zheng said, after the martial arts convention, what other methods did they have? In addition, this Louis gives me a very strange feeling. His purpose in coming to China is definitely not that simple. Tang Zheng said solemnly. "Oh, why do you say that?" "Intuition." Haha, intuition, isn't it too vague? It's up to you to believe it or not. Doesn't your Li Palace boast that your information network is very powerful? Could it be that you can investigate? Tang Zheng provoked. "I know you're trying to provoke me, but let me tell you, this kind of provocation is useless against me. However, I will still investigate this Louis. I want to see what their purpose is," Li Xiaotian said. That night, Tang Zheng and Fang Shishir still stayed in the hotel. However, the two did not have sex and instead cultivated. For tomorrow's decisive battle, Tang Zheng did not dare to let down his guard. He calmed his mind and circulated the ancient clear heaven scroll and the dragon god technique over and over again, allowing his strength to reach its peak state. When the first rays of dawn fell on the earth, Tang Zheng opened his eyes and bathed in the sunlight. His body seemed to emit a faint light, incomparably mysterious. The two of them arrived at the hotel's restaurant. This restaurant's breakfast was very special. The two of them had eaten it once yesterday morning and liked it, so they still chose to eat here today. The exquisite breakfast was served. The two of them chatted as they finished their breakfast and then took a taxi to the National Stadium. Today, the atmosphere in the stadium had reached its peak. There was already a sea of people outside the stadium. After a period of fermenting, the martial arts conference had become the focus of the entire nation. Many people had traveled thousands of miles to Beijing just to see the glory of the finals. The tickets for the finals had already been inflated to a sky-high price, but there were still many fanatical spectators who bought them. This was simply comparable to an international competition. From afar, one could see many people taking pictures outside the stadium. Although some people did not buy tickets, they still surrounded the stadium and felt the warm atmosphere. In addition, this finals was broadcasted live on the national network. Many reporters had flocked over, and the police had even pulled up a cordon to maintain order. Seeing this scene, Fang Shishir said, "After this battle, you'll be equivalent to a big star. Many people will recognize you. This is just something I should do. As for being a big star, I've never thought about it," Tang Zheng said. Just as the two of them walked to the door, many people had already recognized Tang Zheng and quickly surrounded him. Many long and short guns were handed to Tang Zheng. "Kung Fu Bro, what are your thoughts on this battle? How confident are you in winning?" the reporter asked. Tang Zheng chuckled. "How confident are I? Mutu is an expert. In the last battle, he almost crippled the Korean player. There is no doubt about his strength. Could it be that you don't have any confidence?" The reporter clearly misunderstood. When the other spectators heard this, they were furious. Hey, do you know how to speak? How can Kung Fu Bro not have confidence? You're just a Westerner. What are you being so arrogant for? Kung Fu Bro will win. Kung Fu Bro will win. The others echoed. The crowd was excited and their shouts were deafening. The reporter smiled and said, Kung Fu Bro, since so many people support you, what do you think are your chances of winning? Tang Zheng said in a deep voice, since everyone believes in me so much, then of course I am full of confidence. What I want to say is that Huaxia's martial arts will win. There is no doubt about this. Domineering, we will win. Seeing Tang Zheng's statement, the others were excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. In the distance, Lewis and the others also arrived. Seeing the movement on Tang Zheng's side, Lewis asked in a low voice, Wales, have you arranged it? Wales smiled mysteriously. Young lord, don't worry. Song Yu and Chu Xiaofeng have arranged it properly. This time, Tang Zheng will definitely die, and it will not arouse anyone's suspicion. That's good. What about the other thing? Young lord, I have worked hard and finally learned that the demon god has gone to Dianan. Dianan? Is it reliable? It's true. Then let's go to Dianan tomorrow. Demon god? Haha. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Lewis said. Not far away, Song Yu and Chu Xiaofeng were sitting in the car. Chu Xiaofeng's eyes were full of murderous light and hatred. He gritted his teeth and said, This kid is dead this time. Haha, if we join forces, he won't die unless a miracle happens. Song Yu said, Miracle? Haha, I've never believed in miracles. Tonight, let's get drunk and celebrate getting rid of this big problem. Chu Xiaofeng was a little impatient. Don't be so anxious. The real show will be in a while. Don't you want to see Tang Zheng being tortured to death? Song Yu asked. Chu Xiaofeng's eyes lit up. Of course I want to. I dreamed about it, but I didn't expect it to happen so soon. Hey, young Master Song, look over there. Yin Luyan, why is he here? Suddenly, Chu Xiaofeng pointed to a person in the distance. Yin Luyan. Song Yu raised his eyebrows. As the head of the 4 young masters of the capital, Yin Luyun's name firmly suppressed several of them. He must have come to cheer for Tang Zheng. Humph, the Yin family is now trying to improve the relationship with the Ye family, and Tang Zheng is the breakthrough. This time, Tang Zheng made such a big move, of course, the Yin family has to show the so-called goodwill. Chu Xiaofeng curled his lips and said disdainfully, Humph, so what if we show goodwill? This time, I'm going to make Yin Luyan surprised and let him see how stupid the Yin family's decision to bet on Tang Zheng is. Song Yu sneered. Haha, now I'd like to see Yin Luyun's wonderful expression later. Chu Xiaofeng said with an evil smile. Song Yu nodded and said, I also want to see it. It will definitely be very wonderful, huh? Young Master Song, look over there. Qin Badian and Li Hongqing, that slut, both husband and wife, have also come. Chu Xiaofeng pointed at the 2 people that had just appeared. They're walking towards Tang Zheng. I don't know what kind of charm Tang Zheng has. Even Qin Badian is so fond of him. It's strange. Song Yu said doubtfully. Chapter 371. Tang Zheng broke free from the encirclement of the crowd, and then saw Yin Luyun and Qin Badian walking towards him. He was slightly startled and thought to himself that they actually came to watch his competition. Yin Luyun laughed heartily and said, Tang Zheng, congratulations. The champion of this martial arts assembly will definitely be you. Tang Zheng said modestly, We haven't fought yet. We still don't know who the winner will be. Yin Luyun said, That Westerner is definitely not your match. We are very clear about your strength. Back then in the battle of Longxiang Mountain, although Tang Zheng had lost, he had lost to Chu Mingxian. Chu Mingxian was a pre-celestial stage expert, so losing to him was not embarrassing at all, but everyone could see through Tang Zheng's strength. Qin Batian said, Young Master Yin is right. That Westerner looks strong. He is definitely not a match for you in the Tang Zheng. Qin Batian's words were filled with intimacy, causing Yin Luyun to continue to have doubts in his heart, as he did not know how the 2 of them had gotten to know each other. However, from this point, it could be seen that Tang Zheng was extraordinary. Qin Batian was a power that was independent of the 4 great families in the capital, and although he did not have as deep a foundation as the 4 great families, No one dared to underestimate him at all. Young Master Tang, we'll be waiting for you to show off your might, Li Hongqing said with a smile. TSK, then let's go in together. Just as he finished speaking, another group of people quickly walked over and shouted from afar. OL3, OL3, all of us, 502, are here to support you. Boss, I'm here too. Boss is killing Westerners. How can I not come and cheer you on? Feng Yong also waved his hand from afar and shouted. Tang Zheng, I brought the entire dorm to watch the battle. I wish you victory. Yi Dingdang and her 3 roommates also rushed over, but the 3 girls' gazes towards Tang Zheng were clearly a bit unfriendly. Moreover, when they looked at Feng Shishir a few times, their eyes flashed with amazement. In their hearts, they thought that this girl was really beautiful and had a good temperament. Aren't you guys going to class today? Tang Zheng was astonished. We can go to class anytime. Moreover, if we don't skip class in university, then how can it be called university? OL3, let me tell you, there are quite a few students in Yinqing University who are skipping class today, especially for you. Tang Zheng raised his eyes, and, as expected, many of the people who were entering the gymnasium were young students. This time, many of the students' emotions were all stirred up by Tang Zheng and felt honored. Of course, they had to watch this battle of the century. Sinosaurus said, T. Yang said, Yong. Said, Yong. Feng Yong also nodded in agreement. Boss, you won the championship this time. As your first underling, that's definitely the highest honor. You don't know, but now that I'm saying that I'm your underling, wow, many people are envious. Tang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. Little handsome brother, we also came to support you. Suddenly, Feng Xinyang's voice rang out as she and Yi Tianlei walked over in large strides. Yi Tianlei patted Tang Zheng on the shoulder and said, Little Tang, do your best. Tang Zheng did not expect that they would come to watch the battle. It seemed that his competition this time had really touched the nerves of many people. Feng Xinyang glanced at Feng Shishir, but did not say anything. However, their appearance made Li Fengfei and the other 2 especially nervous. After all, they were Yi Dingdong's parents, and seeing Dingdong's boyfriend with other girls, it would be strange if they did not fly into a rage. But the strange thing was that the 2 of them actually ignored Feng Shishir and chatted happily with Tang Zheng. This scene made them feel very complicated. What was wrong with these people? Why were they so contrary to common sense? Everyone walked into the stadium and sat in the spectator seats. Tang Zheng walked backstage alone, and Mutu was already waiting there. Mutu glanced at Tang Zheng, not hiding the killing intent in his eyes. Tang Zheng acted as if he did not see it, and sat at the side, waiting for the competition to start. The audience all entered the stadium, and it was very lively. Everyone was talking about how exciting this competition would be, and many people stretched their necks to look at the contestants' exit. On the VIP platform, Yuzhan Koei was dressed in a suit and leather shoes. He was sitting in the middle, and beside him sat a few fat officials of the Martial Arts Association. When the time came, Yuzhan Koei gave a speech and then announced the contestants to enter the arena. When Tang Zheng and Mutu walked out of the exit, the crowd cheered thunderously. Tang Zheng's home field advantage was very obvious, and 90% of the audience was shouting his name. He waved to the crowd, and suddenly, the cheers became louder. At this moment, the stadium was full. The stadium with 50,000 people was like a celebrity concert, and it was very exciting. The 2 of them walked into the arena and stood face to face. The referee gave the order and then quickly jumped out of the arena. The last battle had left a deep impression on him, and he did not dare to stay in the arena any longer. You're dead. Mutu pointed his index finger at Tang Zheng and said, Let's see who dies and who lives. Tang Zheng did not think much of it. As soon as his voice fell, the 2 figures rushed at each other. Tang Zheng's height was not short among ordinary people, but compared to Mutu's huge height of more than 2 meters, he was a little thin and small, but this definitely did not affect his attack power. The moment he rushed out, his violent momentum made everyone's heart palpitate. At this moment, The strength he showed was even fiercer than the last match. Song Ba, who was sitting on the spectator stand, had a pale face. He finally understood that the reason why he was able to last so long in the previous battle was because Tang Zheng did not use his full strength. Otherwise, he would have lost even more miserably and quickly. Muta did not retreat at all, and his fist rushed out. In a trance, Tang Zheng heard a few sounds of bones rubbing together and saw Mutu's fist grow bigger. Yes, it had really become a size bigger. Tang Zheng was shocked. This Mutu was indeed not simple. He had completely trained his muscles and bones to the point where he could control them as he wished. He could actually freely control his muscles and bones. As the fist grew bigger, its strength also increased explosively. Tang Zheng's thin and small fist collided with the huge fist, and Tang Zheng felt that his joints were cracking. This was the effect of an absolutely powerful force exerted on his fist. The pain caused Tang Zheng to subconsciously frown. On the other hand, Muta looked as if nothing had happened. Instead, the corners of his mouth cracked into a smile, and he asked, "How does it feel?" Tang Zheng coldly snorted and said, "Not very good." His opponent's fist was a strength-type fist, and it was obviously not good to compete with him in strength. Tang Zheng was not stupid and immediately changed his strategy. His index finger and middle finger came together, forming a sword with his arm. His arm rotated, and his finger pierced towards Mutu. Mutu disdainfully curled his lips and still used his iron fist to open a path. Puff! When the finger pierced the fist, Mutu's expression suddenly changed, and he hurriedly retreated. This time, the strength that came from the finger was completely different, like a steel needle, incomparably sharp, piercing into his head as if it wanted to cut his muscles and bones. This strange scene made Mutu immediately realize the danger. His expression became cautious, and he quickly retreated and asked, "What kind of martial arts is this?" "Sword technique," Tang Zheng coldly said. This was the heaven-flying immortal sword technique, but he did not use the war spirit sword to display it. Instead, he used his hand as a sword. Although the power was reduced, it still could not be underestimated. When he used the sword technique, the force produced was completely different from when he used the fist technique. It was even sharper and was not much different from a real sword. This was a new move that Tang Zheng comprehended after his strength increased greatly. Although it was still evolved from the heaven-flying immortal sword technique, he did not need to use other weapons to conceal his identity as a cultivator. When Mutu heard the two words sword technique, his expression became more and more serious. He had never seen a sword technique that did not use a sword and instead used fingers. It was truly strange. So what if you have a sword technique? You will still die without a doubt. A fist technique and a sword technique immediately engaged in an intense battle. When Tang Zheng's finger slashed past, cracks appeared on the ground, as if a real sword had slashed past, and when Mutu's iron fist struck the ground quickly caved in and cracked bit by bit. This time, the arena was not like the previous match. It was temporarily built with cement and steel bars, so when the two of them produced such a terrifying effect, the audience cried out in alarm. This was almost beyond their imagination. If such a move hit an ordinary person, how could they have a chance of survival? The two of them moved faster and faster until it was dazzling. The audience was no longer excited, but their hearts seemed to stop beating and their faces turned pale. This was the deterrent force produced by the two of them fighting, acting on them. Chu Xiaofeng stared at the arena. His expression changed, and his expression was a little complicated. He said, "How long has it been? This brat's cultivation has far surpassed mine. I wonder what realm he has reached." After a pause, he impatiently asked, "Young Master Song, why hasn't it acted up yet?" Song Yu was confident and said, "The spirit-dispersing pill's medicinal properties are overbearing, and it will never go wrong. Don't look at how fierce he is now. Let me tell you, the fiercer he is now, the faster his internal strength will flow. This will only aggravate the effect of the medicinal properties, and his cultivation will be reduced to nothing." Chu Xiaofeng's eyes lit up, and he sincerely praised, "Young Master Song, you have a way. You actually found this legendary spirit-dispersing pill. Tang Zheng is also an idiot. He was poisoned by us in the morning, but he didn't know. Haha, after the spirit-dispersing pill melts the food, it will be colorless and tasteless. Not to mention him, even a great scholar won't be able to discover it. No matter how high his cultivation is, as long as this spirit-dispersing pill acts up, then he will be powerless. As long as his cultivation is reduced to nothing, then Mutu can beat him into meat paste, and he will die without a doubt." Song Yu said proudly. Chu Xiaofeng enviously said, "Young Master Song, do you have any more of these good things? Give me a few, and next time I meet something that doesn't open my eyes, I will also reduce his cultivation to nothing." Song Yu shook his head and said, "Do you think this thing is the great strength pill sold on the streets? Let me tell you, I obtained this thing by chance, and after using it this time, I won't have any more in the future. What a pity." "It's not a pity. Getting rid of this big problem is the most important thing," Chu Xiaofeng comforted. Suddenly, his eyes widened, and he pointed at the arena and said, "Young Master Song, look, it's working." Chapter 372. Tang Zheng's attacks were getting sharper and sharper. The flying immortals from beyond the sky came and went like a ghost, making it impossible for Mudu to guard against it. But suddenly, he felt the Jinqi in his body become restless. It didn't listen to his orders at all and started to scatter in all directions. This scene surprised him. Ever since he started cultivating, his true qi would also boil when the pure yang energy erupted, almost uncontrollable. However, the current situation was very different. The true qi was rushing through his 8 extraordinary meridians, as if it was going to break out of his body. Moreover, every time the true qi flowed through an inch of meridians, the vigorous true qi would disappear a little. The disappearance of the true qi had never happened before. When Tang Zheng fought against his enemies, his true qi would also be consumed, but it would never disappear into thin air for no reason. But at this moment, his true qi disappeared into thin air. It was extremely strange. His movements were very fast. He saw Mutu's iron fist hit his chest. He fiercely hit the railing of the stage and almost fell off the stage. The others looked at this scene in astonishment and cried out in alarm. Wasn't he supposed to have the upper hand? How could the situation change so much in the blink of an eye? No one understood what was going on. They could only watch as a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of Tang Zheng's mouth. Those with discerning eyes could see that Tang Zheng's situation was not good. Fang Shi and Yi Dingdang stood up from their seats and looked at Tang Zheng in bewilderment. Yi Dingdang subconsciously exclaimed, "What happened?" Feng Xinyang and Yi Tianlei's pupils also shrank. They stared at Tang Zheng from afar and said, "Something seems to have happened to him." Fang Shi was a cultivator, but she was also puzzled by the changes in Tang Zheng. Not only them, the others were also confused. However, in the VIP seats, Wales excitedly said to Louis, "Young Lord, look, there's a change." "How did Song Yu and Chu Xiaofeng do it?" Louis asked with interest. Wales shook his head. "I don't know either. These two young masters are very mysterious, but it definitely isn't some honorable method. Haha, in this world, there are only means to achieve one's goal. There is no difference between the light and the dark." Louis said meaningfully. "Young Lord is right," Wales flattered. Seeing Tang Zheng's decline, Muda couldn't help but laugh. "Tang Zheng, go and die." Tang Zheng took 2 punches and flew out of the ring like an angry dragon emerging from the sea. Like a kite with a broken string, he flew out of the ring in a sorry state. Seeing that he was about to fly out of the arena, Tang Zheng roared and grabbed onto him to stop him. He then quickly pulled his body back. Fortunately, he was not eliminated, but Tang Zheng was not happy at all, because in these few minutes, he discovered that 2/3 of the innate qi in his body had disappeared. The innate qi disappeared into thin air just like that, as if it had never appeared. This caused Tang Zheng to be both alarmed and terrified. What the hell was going on? Tian Chanzi had never said that there would be such a situation before, but now was obviously not the time to delve into this question. Mutu's eyes revealed an ominous glint, and it was not just to defeat him. Without a doubt, this final match had already been upgraded to a life and death battle. Either you die, or I die. If he dropped the chain at this critical moment, Tang Zheng would not be able to keep his life anymore. F***CK. It wasn't easy for me to get to this point. I don't care what's going on. I have to win. I have to hold on to my life. Just as he nodded his head, he only had 1/10 of his innate chi left, and it was about to dry up. His speed was also getting slower and slower, and he took another punch. If not for the fact that he had already trained the chaotic Vajra spell to a certain level, just these few punches would have been enough to take his life. Muta became braver and braver as he fought. Although he did not know what was going on, he had already heard from Lewis that there would be a problem with Tang Zheng's body, so he was not worried about this match at all. Seeing that Tang Zheng's situation was becoming more and more obvious, his attacks also increased by a level. With a sweep of his leg, Tang Zheng's waist was fiercely whipped, and he was directly sent flying. He laid on the ground in a sorry state, motionless, as if he was dead. The gymnasium quietened down to the point where one could hear a pin drop. Everyone was completely shocked by this scene, so shocked that they were speechless. Kung Fu bro, what's wrong with you? Aren't you very powerful? Hurry up and stand up and fight. Beat down this Westerner. The crowd roared. Immediately, furious roars surged out like a tidal wave. Everyone was shouting Tang Zheng's name, telling him to hurry up and fight. However, Tang Zheng did not move at all as if he was dead, causing everyone's confidence to instantly collapse. Many people even cried. Actually, it was very easy for love to turn into hate when someone in the audience roared in dissatisfaction. Bullshit Kung Fu bro, get off the stage and embarrass yourself. What Huaxia Kung Fu, it's all bullshit. Right, it's so embarrassing. It's best if you die. Huaxia Kung Fu is useless, it's just a scam. The voices of doubt grew stronger and stronger. These were all die-hard followers of the anti-martial sect, and there were also people sent by whales who were secretly adding fuel to the fire. Naturally, the public opinion was one-sided. Not only was the competition venue boiling, even the internet was boiling. Everyone's insults were endless, and the voices of doubt towards Huaxia's martial arts were growing stronger and stronger. Many people who originally believed in Huaxia's martial arts couldn't help but have their hearts swayed. They doubted whether their previous beliefs were right or wrong. At this moment, the status of Huaxia's martial arts in the hearts of ordinary people was slipping bit by bit. It could fall into the abyss at any time. Wales opened a bottle of expensive red wine and poured a small cup for Lewis. He smiled. Young lord, our plan succeeded. To celebrate our plan, let's have a toast. Lewis had a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. He raised his wine cup and lightly clinked it with Wales's. He said, Wales, the clan is very satisfied with your arrangements in Huaxia this time. When things here are over, it will be the time for your triumphant return to the country. Hearing this, Wales's eyes were filled with excitement. The arrangements this time were so grand that he came to the capital a few years in advance to set them up. Today was finally the day of harvest. Of course, Wales was extremely excited. He's already fallen. As long as Muta gives the last punch, he's dead for sure, Lewis said confidently. Some were happy while others were sad. Fong Sure, Yi Ding Ding, and the others were already as anxious as ants on a hot pan. Tang Zheng was already lying on the ground, unable to move. Although he wasn't dead yet, he was only a step away from death. We must do something. Fong Sure clenched her teeth. She couldn't allow Tang Zheng to die just like that. Although she didn't understand what happened, she was sure that something bad must have happened to Tang Zheng. Yi Tianlei advised, don't act rashly. Even if we rush over, we won't be able to save Tang Zheng at such a distance. But are we just going to watch him die? Yi Dingdang asked anxiously. Feng Xinyang and Yi Tianlei were stumped. They didn't know what to do either. Qin Batian and Yin Luyun sucked in a breath of cold air. They felt that everything was too unreal. Both of them were martial artists and understood that it was impossible to investigate a person's performance to such an extent. Moreover, the changes before and after were so strange that it made them speechless. No, we can't let anything happen to OL3. Suddenly, Sinosaurus shouted and led his roommates to rush towards the arena. But they were just normal people. Even Yi Tianlei couldn't save him. How could they succeed? Boss, you can't let anything happen to you. You're my boss, so you should be very powerful. How could you be defeated by a Westerner? No one answered them, and no one pointed them in the right direction. However, Mutu had already unleashed a thunderous attack. He used both his fists and legs to attack Tang Zheng, who was lying on the ground motionlessly. Die, brat! Tang Zheng heard a tsunami of questioning voices. Hearing these voices, his heart became numb. What was going on here? But he didn't have the chance to think carefully because his life was at stake. The last trace of his Zhen Qi was about to disappear. When a cultivator lost their Zhen Qi, all magic would lose its source. His fighting strength would be impossible to talk about. No, I bear the heavy responsibility of learning Hua Xia's martial arts. If I fail like this, then wouldn't the Rockefeller family scheme succeed? Hua Xia's spirit will also be destroyed and disappear without a trace. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth as if he was stirring with a knife. I must immediately restore my Zhen Qi. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration. He remembered a very precious thing, Dragon Origin Pill. The Dragon Origin Pill still had a huge amount of energy. Last time, he only took one and his body almost exploded. If not for Lu Qingmei's help, he would have died long ago. If he took the Dragon Origin Pill now, the huge amount of energy of the Dragon Origin Pill could be transformed into Zhen Qi. Although there was still the danger of his body exploding, Tang Zheng didn't care so much. As long as he could restore his Zhen Qi, other dangers were insignificant. Tang Zheng lay on the ground. Others couldn't see his movements clearly. He took out a Dragon Origin Pill from his Sumeru pouch without leaving a trace, and then quickly stuffed it into his mouth. The Dragon Origin Pill melted. Immediately, surging energy rushed into Tang Zheng's 8 extraordinary meridians like a flood. Almost in an instant, his body was filled with the energy of the Dragon Origin Pill. However, this was external energy and not his own Zhen Qi. Therefore, he crazily operated the ancient Clear Heaven Scroll and the Dragon God Secret Art. The two divine arts immediately played a role. In an instant, he refined a lot of the energy of the Dragon Origin Pill and transformed it into his own Zhen Qi. His originally empty body was immediately filled with true Qi, just like a dried-up river that was once again flowing with water. In an instant, Tang Zheng was once again brimming with vitality. His dim eyes gradually became bright as the stars in the night sky. However, the others didn't notice this. Seeing Tang Zheng motionless, many people had already sentenced him to death. Many people couldn't bear to watch and turn their heads or cover their eyes. Chapter 373. The fist was about to hit Tang Zheng's head, causing the audience to cry out in alarm. Suddenly, two people jumped up and flew straight to the stage. Yi Dingdang and Fang Shishir rushed to the ring almost at the same time. At this moment, they only had Tang Zheng in their minds. Their only thought was that he couldn't die, but their speed was obviously half a beat slower than Muta's. Suddenly, Muta's fist hit the ground of the ring, creating a big pit. Tang Zheng's figure disappeared from under his fist. The audience shouted. What was going on? Where was he? Yi Dingdang and Fang Shishir stopped under the ring at the same time. They looked at each other and understood that things had taken a turn for the better. In the VIP room, the wine glass in Lewis's hand slipped and shattered on the ground. The wine splashed all over the floor. Tang Zheng didn't disappear, but his speed was too fast. The Dragon Yuan Pill helped him to raise his cultivation by several levels last time. This time, when it suddenly erupted, Tang Zheng didn't faint and forcibly endured it. This was thanks to the fact that there was almost no true Qi in his body, so the energy of the Dragon Yuan Pill didn't make him explode. Yen. But even so, The true qi transformed by the Dragon Yuan pill was still much more than the true qi in his body, and there was still a large part of it that hadn't been completely transformed. Tang Zheng was like a person who was about to starve to death and suddenly ate too much. His stomach was about to explode. He had to move to consume some true qi. But this time, his speed was much faster than before. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared. It was so fast that people couldn't react to it with their eyes. When Mutu's iron fist hit the ring, Tang Zheng was already behind him. His 2 fingers were like a sword. With a puqi, he chopped Mutu's back and penetrated deep into his skin. A huge wound split open and blood splashed. Ah! Mutu let out a heart-wrenching scream. He raised his head to the sky and howled. His eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Although he did not understand how Tang Zheng came back from the dead in an instant, he felt a strong sense of crisis in his heart. He didn't have much time to think. Relying on his instincts, he suddenly turned around, his eyes full of ferocity. At this moment, the flying immortals from beyond the heavens once again displayed its powerful might. Tang Zheng stabbed out with his sword, his fingers piercing Mutu's chest at lightning speed. The muscles on his chest immediately split open and blood gushed out. Tang Zheng could even feel the strong beating of the other's heart. His heartbeat was very fast, twice as fast as a normal person's. However, this was not the main point of Tang Zheng's concern. He believed that this sword could pierce through his heart and kill him instantly. However, the battlefield was ever-changing. Just like how Mutu did not expect Tang Zheng to come back from the dead. At this moment, Mutu, who was supposed to be dead for sure, actually burst out with a terrifying aura. Tang Zheng's hand could not pierce through. It was as if there was a strong force outside the heart that blocked his attack. Roar! An angry roar rang out. This roar did not sound like a human's at all. It sounded like some kind of wild beast. The sound shook the field and was deafening. Tang Zheng's pupils constricted. He saw an unbelievable scene. Mutu's body made a series of crackling sounds. His clothes burst open, and strong muscles were exposed under his clothes. However, these muscles were different from human muscles. They were covered with hair. Tang Zheng looked up and saw that Mutu's body had grown dozens of centimeters taller. He was now 5 meters tall, and his entire body was covered with long hair. What was even more frightening was that his head had also changed. It was no longer a human's head, but a wolf's head. He opened his mouth and revealed long fangs. His fingers had also become thicker, and sharp nails had grown out like sharp knives. In an instant, Mutu transformed into a werewolf. He looked down at Tang Zheng condescendingly, exuding an aura of death. This scene was completely shocking. Not only Tang Zheng, but even the audience fell into a daze. What was going on? Why did that Westerner transform? He even transformed into a werewolf. Suddenly, a member of the audience shouted, "Monster!" Many of the more timid people fainted from fright. Many of them rushed out of the stadium, but there were also some who stayed behind out of curiosity. This year's martial arts conference was too interesting. A werewolf had even appeared. This was a monster that only appeared in Western legends. On the rostrum, Yu Zhankui and the high-ranking officials of the Writers' Association felt their legs go soft. They were lamenting in their hearts. Who could tell me what the F***K is going on? Yu Zhankui looked at the VIP room with a pale face. He wondered what the Rockefeller family had found. Why did such a heaven-defying thing appear? This was a live broadcast on the internet. The scene from before must have spread all over the internet. This was going to blow up. The country had never acknowledged such things. This time, it had appeared openly in front of the entire country's audience. Furthermore, there was no way to deny it. Yu Zhankui felt that his life had come to an end. He originally thought that he could retreat in one piece and go abroad to enjoy the life of a carefree old man. Now, it seemed that everything was just an illusion. In a VIP room, 2 wine glasses fell to the ground and shattered. The glass shards and wine splashed all over the floor. Lewis's eyes flashed. He gritted his teeth and said, "Why is it like this?" How did Tang Zheng come back from the dead and increase his strength? He even forced Mutu to reveal his true form. Whale's jaw was about to hit the ground. He only came back to his senses after a long time. He said in confusion, "Young lord, I don't know either. What should we do now?" "Umph, I didn't think that such a small matter would cause such a huge change." "Wales, look at what you've done," Lewis said with a murderous look. The usually cultured and refined Lewis had disappeared. At this moment, his body was emitting a sharp and cold aura that made people shudder. Wales lowered his head, wishing that he could just bury his head into the floor. He said with fear, "Young lord, your subordinate has not handled the matter well. Please punish me." "Umph, let's clean up this mess first," Lewis said grumpily. "Then what we do now? Let Mutsu kill Tang Zheng first. This kid ruined our entire plan and forced Mutu to reveal his true form. This person cannot be left alive," Lewis said resolutely. Li Xiaotian had already stood up. He stared at the transformed Mutu and muttered to himself, "Demon beast. No, this isn't a normal demon beast. Demon beasts need many years to cultivate into a human form. This werewolf is clearly different. It's a new demon beast race." Yi Tianlei, Feng Xinyang, Qin Batian, and Yin Luyan were all dumbstruck. They held high positions and knew more information than normal people, but they never knew anything about werewolves. "What is this thing?" Feng Xinyang asked blankly. The others shook their heads blankly. However, everyone's hearts tightened. The opponent was no longer human. Was Tang Zheng still his opponent? "I will kill you." Mutu opened his bloody mouth and roared towards the sky. Tang Zheng's eyes were filled with killing intent. He never thought that things would turn out like this, but no matter what, he had to kill the opponent first. He was someone who had fought demon beasts before. How could he be afraid of a werewolf? Not only was he not afraid, but his fighting spirit was high. "Kill!" He roared and rushed into the sky. Rising winds and surging clouds. The first move of the transcendent flying immortal was unleashed. Immediately, a fierce wind rose from the ground and blew up the debris on the stage, forming a violent current that completely enveloped the two of them. Thus, from the outside, one could only see a fierce wind and sand filling the sky. The others couldn't help but hold their breaths. Was Hua Xia's martial arts this powerful? It was too terrifying. This didn't seem like martial arts, but more like an immortal technique. Many people who had originally doubted Tang Zheng revealed ashamed expressions. They were really frogs at the bottom of a well. They didn't understand how powerful Brother Kung Fu was. At this moment, everyone was more concerned about Tang Zheng's safety. This was not a battle with a human, but a battle with a demon beast. Tang Zheng deliberately used rising winds and surging clouds to block the other's line of sight. This way, he could use his techniques without restraint. Against a demon beast, ordinary martial arts were no longer effective. He had to use the methods of a cultivator because Tang Zheng already felt that he couldn't use his fingers as a sword to cut through the opponent's skin. This time, it was the real deal. With a thought from Tang Zheng, the War Soul sword quietly appeared in his hand. He raised the sword and charged forward. Muta didn't know where the War Soul sword in Tang Zheng's hand came from. At this moment, he could only raise his spirits to fight. Even though he had changed and his strength had greatly increased, the aura that Tang Zheng released at this moment was even more shocking. It actually made him feel the smell of death. Roar! Kill! The two of them fought fiercely, and the arena made of concrete and steel collapsed with a boom. Large and small pieces of concrete were blown up by the strong wind and flew around the two of them, blocking the line of sight of the others. The people outside could only hear the sounds of fighting in the wind becoming more and more intense, and the aura became more and more terrifying. The audience sitting in the front row felt as if Mount Tai was pressing down on them, and they all retreated backwards. A battle of this level was too shocking. If an ordinary person was affected, they would definitely die. Fang Shishir and Yi Dingdang did not retreat. They stayed outside the arena, close to the tornado. They opened their eyes with all their might and looked inside, hoping to see Tang Zheng's body. However, all of this was in vain. The storm was too big, making them almost unable to open their eyes. The two of them had their hearts in their throats, silently praying that Tang Zheng would win. Chapter 374. The second grade of Anidia was equivalent to a second-grade pre-celestial stage warrior, but his fighting strength was definitely stronger than a second-grade pre-celestial stage warrior. Tang Zheng originally did not expect himself to break through so quickly. After all, the Dragon Yuan Dan could not be casually consumed, but this time, because of the effects of the spirit refining pill, the innate qi in his body had been completely dispersed. Furthermore, the medicinal properties of the spirit refining pill were extremely tyrannical. When he consumed the Dragon Yuan Dan, a portion of the transformed innate qi was also dispersed by the remaining medicinal properties of the spirit refining pill. If not for the fact that the energy of the Dragon Yuan Dan was too strong, the innate qi would not have been enough. However, now that the innate qi was completely enough, and there was even an extra portion, it directly allowed Tang Zheng's cultivation to rise to another level, and it also prevented him from detonating his pure yang force, which was a complete surprise. Tang Zheng was in high spirits, the war soul, sword pointed forward, like a war god descending to the mortal world, awe-inspiring and inviolable. When Mutu saw the changes in Tang Zheng, his heart could not help but tremble. He still did not realize that Tang Zheng was a cultivator. After all, the group of cultivators was too mysterious, and ordinary people would not be able to think of this point. Mutu roared and rushed forward, his sharp claws directly grabbing at Tang Zheng. The steel bars and cement in front of him were cut into pieces like tofu by the sharp claws. Tang Zheng coldly snorted and shouted, "Die!" He thrusted out his sword. Puff! The war soul sword directly cut off his sharp claws and pierced into his chest. This time, his chest was unable to withstand the attack of the magic treasure and was pierced through, the tip of the sword directly coming out from his back. Muta's eyes burst out with light, revealing a look of disbelief. He never thought that after transforming, he would actually be killed by Tang Zheng in a few simple moves. In the past, whenever he encountered a strong enemy, Mutu would transform, his opponent would definitely die, and he had never failed. This time, he actually died so quickly under Tang Zheng's sword. He used the last of his strength to ask, "Who are you?" Tang Zheng sneered and pulled out the war soul sword. He took a step back and did not tell him anything. Instead, he stared at him coldly. Mutu's chest was bleeding profusely, and his life force was rapidly draining away. His heart had already been pierced by the battle soul, and there was no possibility of him surviving. Remember, Huaxia doesn't allow you uncivilized barbarians to run amok, Tang Zheng said firmly. Bang! Muta fell to the ground with a loud thud. His eyes were wide open as he breathed his last. Tang Zheng kept the war soul sword and waved his hand. The gale disappeared, and the debris fell to the ground. The audience saw the battlefield again. Only one person was still standing. This person was actually Kung Fu Bro. Wow, it was boiling. The entire stadium was boiling. Even the original anti-martial arts faction was completely conquered at this moment. This was the martial arts of Huaxia. Even when facing this kind of inhuman monster, he was invincible and invincible. In the future, who would dare to say that Huaxia's martial arts were embroidered pillows or three-legged cats martial arts? It turned out that Huaxia's martial arts were so extensive and profound. Many of the audience members had already rushed down the stands and rushed to the arena without a care for their own safety. Each and every one of them had a look of excitement. In the VIP room, it was a mess. The tables and chairs were turned into dust. Lewis looked coldly at the arrogant person standing in the distance, and at his feet lay Muta's corpse. Whale's face had already turned pale, and his lips were trembling. He raised his head to look at Lewis, then quickly lowered it. He could clearly feel the young lord's anger and did not dare to provoke him. Put away Muta's corpse. Lewis finished speaking and turned to leave. Yes, young lord. Wales also quickly walked out and found Yuuzhan Kuei and said, "Get someone to quickly take away Muta's corpse." Yuuzhan Kuei's legs were weak, and he could not even walk steadily. He slumped on the chair like a pile of mud, unable to do anything at all. Wales snorted disdainfully, "Useless thing." He quickly walked towards the arena, obviously wanting to do it himself. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, a wave of hurried and orderly footsteps sounded. A large group of He-Chang soldiers rushed into the stadium and went straight to the arena. They surrounded the arena in 3 layers. Whale's expression changed abruptly. He quickly stopped and took advantage of the chaos to quickly leave the scene. When he walked out of the stadium, he found that the entire stadium was surrounded by policemen. These policemen were all facing a great enemy. Their eyes were like searchlights as they scanned everyone. He did not dare to stay. He quickly found a weak spot and slipped away. He already understood that this unforeseen event had attracted the attention of the authorities in Huaxia. The sudden appearance of such a transformed monster on this land would definitely attract the attention of the national level. Next, Muda's corpse would be sent to the laboratory for dissection. This trip to Huaxia has failed. Whale's face was ashen. When Tang Zheng saw so many soldiers blocking the audience outside and surrounding himself and Muda's corpse in the middle, he understood what had happened. This match was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. It had already attracted the attention of the national level. Then the Rockefeller family's conspiracy would not be able to succeed for the time being. His expression was very calm. He was not in a hurry to rush out of the encirclement. Since the military had already taken over this matter, then of course there would be someone in charge. Sure enough, an officer walked over. Looking closely, it was actually Tang Zheng's old acquaintance, Kai Guibin, the commander of his military training. Kai Guibin looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. Back then during the military training, he was quite fond of Tang Zheng. He thought that Tang Zheng was not simple and was a good seedling. However, later on in the border town, Tang Zheng went on a killing spree. His influence was very bad. In addition, Wu did not have a good impression of Tang Zheng at the time. Therefore, in the end, Tang Zheng did not even get any credit. Tang Zheng's connection with the military also came to an abrupt end. The military chose Takashi, but now Takashi's body was nowhere to be found. This caused the military's plan to promote elites from the university to die before it was even born. This made the boss who proposed this plan very angry. After that, Kai Guibin often thought that if he had chosen Tang Zheng as the focus of his training, perhaps that plan would not have died prematurely. However, seeing Tang Zheng again this time, Kai Guibin had mixed feelings. It turned out that he had underestimated this university student. The other party was truly hiding his strength. At that time, not only him, but everyone else had misjudged him. When Kai Guibin received this mission, he was also extremely shocked. A monster actually appeared in broad daylight, and it was even fighting with Tang Zheng. However, when he rushed to the scene and saw Tang Zheng safe and sound, and the monster lying dead in the ruins, he still felt deeply shocked. He walked in front of Tang Zheng and extended his hand, saying, "Tang Zheng, we meet again." Tang Zheng held his hand, nodded, and said, "Commander Kai, long time no see." Yeah, long time no see. A scholar who has been away for 3 days should be looked at with new eyes. Today, I truly understand the true meaning of this sentence. Kai Guibin sighed. "Do you need me to do anything?" Tang Zheng calmly asked. "Come with us. Don't worry, we definitely won't make things difficult for you." Kai Guibin promised. Tang Zheng nodded and looked in the direction of the rostrum. He saw Yu Zhankui slumped in his chair, so he pointed at him and said, "Commander Kai, you better capture the chairman of the Martial Arts Association, Yu Zhankui. Maybe he will be of some help to you." Towards this traitor, Tang Zheng obviously would not give him the chance to escape. Kai Guibin nodded and signaled to the 2 soldiers. The soldiers immediately rushed over and grabbed Yu Zhankui. Yu Zhankui seemed to have awoken from a dream and immediately shouted, "I'm the chairman of the Martial Arts Association. I am an official. Why do you have to capture me?" However, the soldier didn't want to talk nonsense with him. He directly smashed the butt of the gun into Yu Zhankui's head. Yu Zhankui screamed and immediately became silent. He was like a defeated rooster that was obediently taken away. Kai Guibin carefully observed Muda's corpse and said in amazement, "I have lived for dozens of years and have never seen this thing. What kind of monster is this?" Tang Zheng blankly shook his head and said, "I also don't know. I only know that this guy was very fierce. If he didn't die, then I would die. So I spent a lot of effort to kill him. Kai Guibin gave a thumbs up to Tang Zheng and praised. Your martial arts are really powerful. I have seen the videos of your previous matches. It was really exciting. You displayed the essence of our Hua Xiao martial arts. Tang Zheng waved his hand and said, Commander Kai, you flatter me. I won't talk nonsense. I really admire you. You are the cornerstone of Hua Xiao's future. However, this time you caused such a big scene. How are you going to clean it up? Kai Guibin sighed as he pointed to the sea of people in the audience. Seeing the military move out, many of the audience did not quickly leave the arena. Instead, they looked as if they had been injected with chicken blood and were watching from afar. This matter was too sensational. To be able to see it with their own eyes, there was not a single audience member who did not feel that this match was worth it. Even if they bought a high-price ticket, it was definitely worth the price of the ticket. Tang Zheng shrugged. The government would find a way to explain. This was not a problem for him to worry about. As for whether the public believed it or not, that was another matter. Seeing that Fang Shishir, Yi Dingdang, and the others were also blocked outside by the army, he said to Kai Guibin, I will first go and say a few words to my friends, then we will leave. Is that okay? Go ahead. As long as you don't run away, I will have completed my task. Kai Guibin smiled. Tang Zheng walked to the side of a few people. Those who were familiar with him all squeezed over. The way they looked at him had already changed, especially the few ordinary people who were directly speechless. At this moment, although Tang Zheng had restrained himself, the murderous aura on his body was still very strong. It was so sharp that ordinary people did not dare to underestimate him. Fang Shishir and Yi Dingdang were not affected. The two of them seemed to have a tacit understanding as they searched Tang Zheng's body. At the same time, they kept asking, Are you hurt? Being pincered by two great beauties could be said to be a blessing. Tang Zheng was very thick-skinned, but with so many people looking at him, he could not help but blush. He hurriedly said, I'm fine. Only then did the two of them feel relieved. They stood on either side of Tang Zheng. No matter how they looked at it, it looked like he was hugging two beauties. Chapter 375. Yin Luyun and Qin Batian looked at Tang Zheng with a smile that was not a smile. In front of Yi Tianlei and his wife, Tang Zheng was really too ferocious. By CI, who has already been recorded. However, this was someone else's family matter, so they would not ask about it. On the other hand, the members of 502 were very envious. They thought to themselves that their third brother was really awesome. He even dared to do this in front of his mother-in-law. He was not afraid of death. Everyone asked about Tang Zheng's well-being for a moment. Seeing that Tang Zheng was indeed fine and that the military was still waiting, they did not ask any more questions. Tang Zheng found Li Xiaotian and walked to the side. He said in a low voice, This mutu was sent by the Rockefeller family. You can use this as a clue to investigate the background of Mutu and the Rockefeller family. The other party has a werewolf, which is even more complicated than we thought. We can't let our guard down. If it was an ordinary martial artist, even if his martial arts were a little higher, Tang Zheng would not be so cautious. However, the appearance of the werewolf clearly exceeded the scope of a martial artist. This made him wonder if there were still cultivators abroad when New Era used a formation to send cultivators to the sky beyond heaven. On this point, he had to ask the five-clawed golden dragon for advice. However, he had to deal with the military's investigation first. Tang Zheng left with the military alone. He was taken to a well-guarded military base. The military personnel asked him in detail about the details of his fight with Mutu. Tang Zheng hid the fact that he had used magic and recounted the process of his fight with Mutu in detail. The military did not make things difficult for him. Tang Zheng had been dragged into this storm by accident. It could be said that it was an unexpected disaster. Moreover, he had won the championship and won glory for the country, so the soldiers had a good impression of him. Kai Guibin smiled and asked, How do you feel about winning the championship? Tang Zheng shrugged his shoulders and said, You don't feel much? Why would you suddenly want to participate in this martial arts convention? As far as I know, This martial arts convention has been held for a few times, but every time, it is the people from a martial arts association who are playing monkey shows. Not many real martial artists are willing to join in the fun. Kai Guibin asked the question in his heart. Commander Kai, do you know that this martial arts convention is a huge conspiracy? Tang Zheng asked in a deep voice. Kai Guibin's heart trembled. He restrained his relaxed expression and asked, What conspiracy? This is a big conspiracy of the Western Empire's Rockefeller family colluding with Yu Zhankui. Tang Zheng told him everything he knew about Yu Zhankui and the Rockefeller family colluding. Suddenly, Kai Guibin's face became more and more gloomy. In the end, he slammed his hand on the table and angrily shouted, Traitor, Yu Zhankui actually has such a big dog balls, daring to betray the interests of the country. Tang Zheng jokingly said, Nowadays, there are many officials who betray the interests of the country for their own benefits. Yu Zhankui is not an exception, right? Kai Guibin coldly snorted and said, Our military usually does not interfere with the local government's matters, but seeing these vermin act so perversely is simply an insult to our soldiers. Our soldiers rely on their blood to protect this country, but they're being used as bargaining chips in exchange for benefits. This kind of black sheep must be severely punished. Commander Kai, the Rockefeller family must have bribed more than just Yu Zhankui. The key is to find the other vermin and guard against their other conspiracies. Tang Zheng reminded. Kai Guibin nodded in agreement. That is natural. The information you provided is very valuable. We will definitely investigate immediately. Actually, if necessary, it is best to bring back the Rockefeller family's young Lord Louis for investigation. Perhaps there will be unexpected gains. Tang Zheng suggested. I will report to my superiors. Kai Guibin solemnly said, I will send you out first. If there is any news, I will promptly inform you. If you have any new discoveries, please also inform me. Kai Guibin gave Tang Zheng a phone number for easy contact. The two of them walked out of the interrogation room and saw three people quickly walking over from afar. Tang Zheng's pupils shrank, and his nerves immediately tensed up. Kai Guibin also looked at the three people in front of him suspiciously and said, Instructor Wu, why are you here? The people who came were the Great Elder and Fourth Elder of the martial sect. Previously, the Third Elder had mysteriously disappeared, causing the martial sect to suffer a great loss. After Wu returned, he was reprimanded by the sect master and the other three elders. The martial sect also became cautious. The whereabouts of the demon god had appeared in the capital, and there were definitely other unknown dangers lurking. Otherwise, why would the Third Elder's life and death be unknown? Of course, the martial sect also launched an investigation on Tang Zheng. In the end, they believed that with Tang Zheng's strength, it was impossible for him to silently kill the Third Elder. There were definitely other experts, most likely other powerful cultivators, which was why the Third Elder had met with such a mishap. No one would have thought that Tang Zheng would lure the Third Elder to the underground of the Imperial City under Wu's nose and feed him to the 5-clawed golden dragon. This time, Wu and the two elders came to the capital once again. As soon as they arrived, they heard about the unbelievable things that happened at the martial arts assembly. The appearance of the werewolf immediately attracted the attention of the three of them. They quickly realized that the situation had become unprecedentedly grim. As a result, they rushed to this military base without stopping. The relationship between the martial sect and the military was not shallow, so naturally, they were unimpeded. As soon as they entered, they saw Tang Zheng, so the three of them immediately walked over. Wu looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. Last time, she had suffered a loss at the hands of Tang Zheng, which made her feel bitter. You are Tang Zheng. The Great Elder was a skinny old man. Even his eyebrows were white and his eyes were like a hawk's. The Fourth Elder was slightly younger, but his face was gloomy. It was as if his face was covered in a layer of frost. These two were not good people, so Tang Zheng had no choice but to be on high alert. If the other party discovered his identity as a cultivator, it would be difficult for him to escape even if he had wings. It's me, Tang Zheng said in a deep voice. Let's see where you can run to now. The great elder said with killing intent. Tang Zheng really had the urge to run away, but he endured it. He glanced at Wu and said, "Why should I run? I didn't do anything bad." "You didn't do anything bad? You're going against the martial sect. Do you still want to quibble?" "Huh. When did I go against a martial sect? It's true that your martial sect wants to kill me, but you guys are the ones who complained first." Tang Zheng thought that he did not have any flaws. His aura was like a rainbow, and he was not afraid of the other party's threats. Do you think that with the Yef family supporting you, you can provoke the martial sect?" Tang Zheng's expression did not change as he said, "There is always a reason in this world. Could it be that you are allowed to deal with others for no reason and not allow others to resist?" "Sophistry, sophistry," the great elder angrily shouted. His body moved, and he grabbed towards Tang Zheng. However, Kai Guibin's movements were also very fast. He immediately protected Tang Zheng and stopped him. "Everyone, if you have something to say, let's talk about it. This is a military area. You cannot easily use force." The great elder stopped and looked at Kai Guibin with disdain. "When did it become your military's turn to point fingers at our martial sect's actions?" Kai Guibin did not know what kind of organization the martial sect was, but he knew that the other party's identity was not ordinary. However, he still did not back down and protected Tang Zheng, saying, "Tang Zheng is an honorable guest to the military. Everyone is so powerless. Aren't you looking down on the military too much?" Following Kai Guibin's words, a large group of armed soldiers surrounded them and pointed their guns at the martial sect. To these soldiers, they did not care about the martial sect. If they dared to provoke the military in the military base, wouldn't they be courting death? The silent marshal finally spoke and said, "Great elder, please do not be impatient. We are here to investigate the werewolf. Let's go to the autopsy room to take a look." The great elder clenched his teeth and fiercely glared at Tang Zheng, saying, "All right, Tang Zheng will also go. I want to see how he killed the werewolf." "Tang Zheng, let's go. Let's go together." Kai Guibin patted Tang Zheng's shoulder and said. The few of them walked into the tightly guarded autopsy room. Several white coats were operating scalpels on Muda's corpse. Although it was already winter, the white coats were sweating profusely. The nurses beside them were constantly wiping their sweat. "No, this scalpel is useless again. This werewolf's body is too hard. It's better to just use a chainsaw to cut it open." A white coat threw away the broken scalpel in his hand and helplessly said. Suddenly, a few people walked in. The white coat asked, "Why are there so many people coming in? Can't you see that we are working?" The martial sect trio acted as if they did not hear anything. They directly walked to the front of the operating table and squeezed the white coats to the side. Kai Guibin hurriedly comforted the man in the white coat, indicating for them to calm down. The man in the white coat obviously knew Kai Guibin and complained, "Leader Kai, this werewolf's skin is too hard. Even the scalpel couldn't cut through his skin. I don't know what kind of sharp weapon actually pierced through his chest." Tang Zheng's spirit trembled. He used war spirit to kill Mutu. He did not want the martial sect people to see any clues. The martial sect trio surrounded the werewolf and carefully examined it. The great elder muttered to himself, "Demonic beasts need hundreds of years to evolve into human form. This werewolf clearly does not have hundreds of years of lifespan, but it can freely change between human and beast. It is really strange." The fourth elder agreed. "This is completely different from what we know. It seems that in the past, we only paid attention to the situation in Huaxia and ignored the situation outside." The great elder nodded, obviously agreeing with this point of view. Although the martial sect's strength was huge, it was limited to the land of Huaxia. If it was outside, they would still be unable to touch it. The great elder grabbed a scalpel that had already broken open and directly slashed at Muda's chest. Seeing this, the white coats hurriedly shouted, "The scalpel is useless. Moreover, you're using it to break open a mouth." The great elder acted as if he did not hear anything. The scalpel directly cut Muta's chest. The originally hard skin under the scalpel was like tofu being cut open bit by bit. Chapter 376. The reason why the scalpel had such power was because of the Great Elder's inner strength. Of course, it could cut open Muda's body. The word is already written, This is a sword wound. Where's your weapon? The Great Elder asked Tang Zheng. I put away, Tang Zheng said without changing his expression. As far as I know, the Martial Arts Convention prohibits the use of weapons. The Great Elder said. Meeting such a monster, could it be that I still have to stick to the rules? Tang Zheng asked back. His heart was in a mess. If the other party insisted on the sword wound, then he might be exposed. After all, when he went up on stage, everyone present noticed that he did not carry any weapons. But the Great Elder did not insist on this question. After all, it was normal for a martial artist to hide a weapon. Don't look at the Great Elder's empty hands. If he were to fight, his weapon would appear in his hands at any time. The Great Elder did not notice this flaw when he judged others from his own perspective. This werewolf died at your hands. It was only at the level of a prenatal martial artist. It wasn't that strong. Although the Western Empire has these monsters, their strength is still too weak. They can't do much. The Great Elder said disdainfully. Marshall, who had been silent all this time, opened her mouth and said, Great Elder, this thing no longer belongs to humans. No matter which country it is from, we should get rid of it to prevent future troubles. The fourth Elder agreed. Marshall's words are correct. Then let's kill all these monsters. The Great Elder did not take it seriously and said with a murderous look. The white coat man did not understand what they meant and interrupted. This is a new species. If it has similar species, then it is best to capture it alive. It has great scientific significance. Marshall and the other two did not pay any attention to the white coat man and walked out of the dissection room. Seeing this, Tang Zheng did not want to stay any longer. He hurriedly said goodbye to Kai Guibin and quickly left the military base and returned to school. When the other three saw that Tang Zheng had returned, they immediately shouted excitedly and asked Tang Zheng what the military would do. Tang Zheng gave a perfunctory reply and did not elaborate further. The three of them didn't seem to mind as they continued. Third brother, this incident has caused a huge uproar on the internet. Everyone is talking about that werewolf. Tang Zheng had already expected this outcome, but the appearance of the werewolves had disrupted all his plans. Third brother, the government has already started to refute the rumors. They said that the werewolf was disguised as a human and deliberately wore a mask to scare people. Damn, do you really think we're fools? When the werewolf transformed, the tens of thousands of people in the audience saw it clearly. The eyes of the crowd are as clear as snow, so there's no way to quibble. Sinosaurus curled his lips and said disapprovingly. Tang Zheng indeed understood the good intentions of the officials. If this matter was allowed to spread, it would definitely cause panic in society. In order to stabilize the situation, the officials would definitely lie. Right now, the video of the martial arts assembly has been completely edited out. Most of the netizens were amazed by the situation at that time. Before they could download the video of the transformation was erased by the officials. What a pity. Wang Shiji also said with regret. Zhou Yin explained, didn't you see? There are already people arguing on the internet. Many people who didn't watch the live broadcast don't believe that there are werewolves, so now there are two factions on the internet, arguing endlessly. Tang Zheng smiled and said, this is the situation that the officials hope to see. As long as the people discuss it and some people don't believe it, it will naturally fade away bit by bit. TSK, I don't care if others believe it or not. In any case, the people watching the scene all believe in the existence of werewolves. I really didn't expect that there would really be legendary monsters in our world. Hee, just thinking about it makes me feel magical. Sinosaurus's eyes lit up as he said excitedly. Second bro, why are you so excited? Could it be that you want to fall in love with a human? Zhou Yin teased. Sinosaurus said, this is just my imagination. How could it be that easy? However, if I really have the ability to fly in the sky and burrow into the ground, I might really fall in love with a human. Hearing that, Tang Zheng's heart skipped a beat. Since the three of them already believed in the existence of demons, then what if he told them about cultivators? They had already eaten essence cultivating pills for a period of time, and their bodies had already improved greatly. If they started cultivating, they would definitely get twice the result with half the effort. However, in the end, Tang Zheng decided to keep it a secret for the time being. The people from a martial sect had also arrived in the capital, and if they were to take them on the path of cultivators at this time, it would be no different from pushing them into a pit of fire. I'm guessing that the officials will definitely use other things to attract the attention of the public. If you don't believe me, look, maybe there will be big news tomorrow, causing the matter of the werewolves to gradually fade out of people's sight. Zhou Yan speculated confidently. However, Zhou Yan's judgment was correct. The next day, the officials launched a new round of tiger hunting campaign, which was to punish corrupt officials. Many high and mighty corrupt officials were beaten down to the mortal world, including the chairman of the Martial Arts Association, Yu Zhankui. This was the result of the investigation based on the information provided by Tang Zheng. The Rockefeller family had indeed bribed many officials, and there was nothing absolutely confidential in this society. As long as one was ruthless enough to investigate, these officials were not flawless to begin with, so naturally, they would be able to find out the truth. Immediately, a campaign to punish corrupt officials was set off in the land of Huaxia, causing the commoners to clap their hands in joy and quickly forget about the werewolves. Of course, this was a story for later. Li Xiaoyan's call interrupted the big discussion in room 502, because Lewis and Wales seemed to have disappeared from the face of the earth. The Li Palace actually did not manage to find their whereabouts. Ever since the end of the martial arts assembly, the two of them had disappeared without a trace. This caused the people who wanted to find Lewis to find out what was going on to fail. Tang Zheng could only sigh. This Lewis was indeed a cunning fox. He retreated when he saw that the situation was not good. Otherwise, he would have definitely been invited to tea by the military. Tang Zheng had no choice but to temporarily throw the other party to the back of his mind. This was for the military and the government to worry about. He had more important things to do. In the middle of the night, he came to the underground of the imperial city. He had a stomach full of questions to ask the five-clawed golden dragon. When the five-clawed golden dragon saw Tang Zheng come alone, it glared at him in dissatisfaction and said, "Didn't I tell you to bring Xiao by here last time? Why are you alone again? Next time I will definitely bring Xiao by to accompany you for a few days." Tang Zheng had already forgotten about this matter, so he quickly promised. "Humph, I will let you go this time. Next time, if you dare to lie to me, I will make you suffer." The five-clawed golden dragon threatened. Suddenly, the five-clawed golden dragon lowered its head and stared at Tang Zheng without blinking, and said curiously, "Hey, I feel that your cultivation has broken through again." Tang Zheng said that the five-clawed golden dragon's senses were really sharp, so he did not hide it, and said truthfully, "I have already broken through to the second grade of the fasting realm." The five-clawed golden dragon was overjoyed and exclaimed, "Ha! Skywalkers are really not ordinary. You broke through so quickly, it seems that I am just around the corner." Tang Zheng smiled bitterly. The difference between the fasting realm and the immortal realm was thousands of miles. It was still too early. "Golden Dragon, I have a question to ask." The five-clawed golden dragon was in a good mood and asked, "What question?" When New Era used a secret technique to drive the cultivators to the sky beyond heaven, were the cultivators in Huaxia really affected? Tang Zheng asked. The five-clawed golden dragon looked at Tang Zheng suspiciously and asked, "Other than the land of Huaxia, are there any other places that have cultivators?" Could it be that cultivators are a unique existence in the land of Huaxia? Tang Zheng was surprised. Of course, the other places are barbarian lands with thin spiritual energy. How could cultivators appear in those places? The five-clawed golden dragon said. Tang Zheng was confused. This ancient world of cultivators was too magical. The world was so big, but only the land of Huaxia gave birth to cultivators. As if he could see through Tang Zheng's doubts, the five-clawed golden dragon continued. The land of Huaxia is a land blessed by the heavens. Of course, it is a land blessed by the heavens and enjoys benefits that no other place can match. Do you know why the ancient country of Huaxia was the center of the world in ancient times, and why all the countries came to pay homage to it? Because the country is strong, Tang Zheng said as a matter of course. The five-clawed golden dragon snorted, "Nonsense." At that time, the reason why ancient Huaxia was strong was because of the existence of cultivators. This made ancient Huaxia stronger than any other country. No country could match it, and this created that glorious period. Tang Zheng was shocked. New Era used tricks to expel the cultivators, leaving only the warriors in the world. Although he still created a new dynasty, without the support of the cultivators, the country's strength weakened bit by bit. More than 100 years ago, it declined to the extreme and was directly invaded by many countries. The land of Huaxia almost completely fell. If the land of Huaxia wants to prosper, we must let the cultivators return to this world. That way, Huaxia will definitely be able to stand at the top of the world, and other countries will not be able to contend against it. The five-clawed golden dragon added. Tang Zheng's mind was in turmoil. He was at a loss. The cultivators would definitely take revenge when they returned, and that would definitely set off a bloody storm. But if the cultivators did not return, Huaxia's strength would not be able to contend against foreign countries, and the weak countries had no diplomacy, their status would not be guaranteed, and the lives of the people would naturally be affected. Skywalker, you're not the Emperor. Why are you thinking about this? The five-clawed golden dragon looked at his tightly knitted brows and guessed what he was thinking. So he explained. Tang Zheng suddenly realized, that's right, he was worried about the salty radish. With his little cultivation, how could he have the qualifications to consider such a complicated problem? It was more important to raise his cultivation first. As for whether or not the cultivators would return, it wouldn't be too late to think about it when the time came. Tang Zheng no longer thought about it. He calmed down and comprehended today's gains. The battle with the werewolf, especially the matter of his innate qi suddenly disappearing into nothingness, made him puzzled. He had to find out what was going on. Chapter 377. After confirming this crucial point, Tang Zheng's anger soared up. This matter was most likely done by Lewis. No matter where he went, Tang Zheng had to investigate thoroughly. By CI, who has already been recorded, however, he did not immediately leave. Instead, he discovered another matter that made him happy. His cultivation had already reached the second grade of fasting, and he had already mastered the third move of the heaven-flying immortal sword technique. He had not discovered it before, but now that he had calmed down, he discovered it. Heaven-flying immortal third move, lightning fire sword. With a thought, Tang Zheng grasped Battle Soul in his hand. With a flash of the sword, a black sword light cut through the sky, and a black light soared into the sky from the sword. So, the sword slashed through the air, causing ripples in the air that did not dissipate for a long time. Tang Zheng could clearly feel the difference between this move and the previous two. This move was more agile, incomparably light, and extremely fast. Although it looked like his sword slash was slow, he was certain that if an enemy were to slash in front of him, their reaction speed would definitely not be as fast as his sword. With a thought, the sword had already slashed out. The sword moved according to the thought, as fast as lightning. With a new move, his strength had reached another level. Tang Zheng took advantage of the darkness of the night to leave Huangxian City and return to the hotel. Fang Shishir was already asleep. Seeing him return, she woke up with a start. Rubbing her hazy eyes, she asked, "Why did you come so late? I thought you weren't coming, so I went to sleep first." Tang Zheng kissed her forehead and said, "I missed you, so I naturally came." Fang Shishir smiled and stretched out her arms. Tang Zheng naturally took her into his embrace and took off his clothes. The two of them laid on the bed. Fang Shishir snuggled into his chest and said, "You really scare me to death today." Tang Zheng patted her back and said, "That werewolf was too weak. How could he hurt me?" But no one expected that. I was so scared that I almost rushed up the stage to help you. Tang Zheng obviously saw her and Yi Dingdong's actions at that time. That heartfelt concern was still fresh in his mind. Fang Shishir blinked and hesitated for a moment before saying, Yi Dingdang is also very concerned about you. Tang Zheng was speechless. He had never mentioned Yi Dingdang to Fang Shishir. For a moment, he did not know how to reply. The corner of Fang Shishir's mouth revealed a bitter smile as she said, You're so outstanding, so you're very popular with the girls. Tang Zheng embarrassedly said, Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. Fang Shishir stared straight into Tang Zheng's eyes. You have quite a few girls by your side. Moreover, they are all great beauties. Besides Yi Dingdang, there is also that Li Xiaotian. Tang Zheng said that it was good that she did not know about Lu Qingmei. Otherwise, she would have definitely made a big fuss. However, when he heard Li Xiaotian's name, he hurriedly denied, Don't confuse me with that black-bellied woman. She can't wait for me to die. I can't wait to get rid of her as a burden. Fang Shishir recalled the process of interacting with Li Xiaotian. It was indeed not pleasant. Tang Zheng also did not seem to have anything to do with her. That Li Xiaotian is not possible. What about Yi Dingdang? When we were in high school, didn't you guys have something going on? Fang Shishir calculated and said. She was jealous. Alas, Tang Zheng's head was about to explode. If he knew earlier, he would not have returned to the hotel tonight. Seeing that Tang Zheng was speechless, Fang Shishir's eyes flashed with a trace of sadness. She took the initiative to change the topic and said, Louis called me today. He seems to have left the capital and said that he would contact me after returning to the Western Empire. Seeing that she no longer entangled in this topic, Tang Zheng let out a sigh of relief. He looked at her with gratitude and said, Then did Louis return to the Western Empire? I don't think so. He should have called me when he returned. Fang Shishir said. Tang Zheng frowned. This time, the Rockefeller family's plot did not succeed. Louis and Wales also disappeared from the face of the earth. Could it be that they just gave up and ran away? Impossible. Although Tang Zheng and Louis had only met a few times from the other party's eyes, Tang Zheng judged that the other party was a person who would not give up until he achieved his goal. This time, he suffered a big loss and would definitely use other methods to make up for it. If Louis was just an ordinary young master, Tang Zheng would not be so cautious. But the other party actually had a werewolf under him. Tang Zheng had no choice but to be cautious. He did not understand why there would be werewolves in the Western Empire, where the five-clawed golden dragon said that it was impossible for cultivators to appear. But there was no doubt that the Rockefeller family's strength was far beyond his imagination. Fang Shishir was studying in the Western Empire. If he did not tell her Louis's true colors, then who knows when she would fall into his trap. Shishir, I want to tell you something about Louis. Tang Zheng said seriously. Fang Shishir looked at him in surprise and asked, Hey, what do you know about him? He is the Rockefeller family's young lord, and this martial arts convention is actually a conspiracy. After Fang Shishir heard the twists and turns of the story, she could not help but be dumbstruck. She cried out in alarm. How could Louis be this kind of person? Shishir, you have a kind heart, but there are many bad people in this world. It is hard to guard against them. I am telling you this so that you will be careful of Louis in the future. Fang Shishir wrinkled her brows and sighed. I have known Louis for a few months, but I never thought that he would be this kind of person. It really is like the old saying, you may know a person for a long time, but not his heart. Shishir, you have to be careful when you are alone in a foreign country. If there is anything, just tell me. I will definitely rush to your side as fast as possible. I know what you mean. I'm not a weak girl without the strength to truss a chicken. I am now a 6th grade refining chi cultivator. Fang Shishir said proudly. Tang Zheng's mouth revealed a smile. Fang Shishir's cultivation progress was very fast. Although it has only been a few months, she had already reached the 6th grade refining chi. It must be known that the spirit chi in the Western Empire was very thin. Most of the time, she could only rely on the spirit chi in spirit stones to cultivate. Sure, this time before you leave, I will help you increase your cultivation. Tang Zheng once again played the role of the Dragon Yuan Dan, but for the time being, he still could not find a way to safely use the Dragon Yuan Dan. The Dragon Origin Pill was too fierce for Fang Shishir, so he had to think of a foolproof plan. At dawn, the two people arrived at the restaurant. Tang Zheng confirmed last night that Fang Shishir did not notice the disappearance of her qi yesterday, so he concluded that it must be the doing of the waiter who delivered their meal. After looking around the restaurant, he did not find any trace of the waiter. Although he only caught a glimpse of him yesterday, Tang Zheng still remembered his face. After confirming that there was no such person in the restaurant, he immediately found the person in charge of the restaurant. Only then did he find out that the waiter did not ask for leave and did not come to work this morning. After asking for the exact address, he and Fang Shishir immediately walked out of the hotel to find the waiter. Fang Shishir was also filled with anger. She only found out last night that Tang Zheng's situation was very dangerous. If not for the Dragon Origin Pill, then Tang Zheng's life would not be guaranteed. So this matter must be investigated clearly. Her anger was even more intense than Tang Zheng's. Her eyes became incomparably sharp, adding a trace of heroic spirit to her originally weak appearance. But as soon as the two people walked out of the hotel, a middle-aged man with a ponytail blocked their way. Tang Zheng looked at the other person suspiciously. This person did not have any fluctuations of inner strength. The only hot spot was that his clothes were very fashionable and colorful. "Kung Fu Bro, hello. I've been waiting for you for a long time," the man with the ponytail said with a smile. His voice was a bit feminine, and Tang Zheng had goosebumps all over his body. "Who are you?" Tang Zheng asked doubtfully. The man with the ponytail raised his orchid finger and said, "Kung Fu Bro is really direct, worthy of being a Kung Fu master. My name is Aimi. You can call me Sister Aimi, Sister Aimi." Puff! Tang Zheng almost spat out his breakfast. This person was obviously a man. Although he was feminine, his masculine features were obvious. He actually made Tang Zheng call him Sister Aimi. Damn sissy, don't come out so early in the morning to scare people. However, Tang Zheng was still polite enough and said, "May I ask why you are looking for me?" "Of course there's something, and it's a very good thing," Aimi said with a smile and dragged her last syllable. Tang Zheng urged, "If you have something to say, please say it quickly. I still have important things to do." Okay, I'll make it short. Kung Fu Bro, our company plans to package you and turn you into a new generation of idol stars," Aimi said while looking at Tang Zheng and blinking her watery little eyes. "What? Idol stars?" Tang Zheng was shocked. "Yes, didn't you just win a martial arts conference? You are now very popular, so you should take advantage of this opportunity to package and market, and then let your fame rise to a new level. Although your appearance does not have the potential of an idol, this is not a problem. As long as you're packaged by my sister Aimi, I guarantee that you will be popular half the sky." "Stop!" Seeing him chatter on and on, Tang Zheng was almost confused by him, and he even said that he did not have the potential to be an idol star. Damn, isn't this saying that I'm not handsome enough? Tang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry and said, "I'm not interested in being a star. Go find someone else." Aimi was shocked and looked at Tang Zheng in disbelief. In this era, everyone wants to be a star, but he actually refused such a good opportunity. Aimi felt like she was dreaming. Tang Zheng held Fang Shishir's hand and quickly walked around Aimi, as if awakened from a dream, quickly stopped him and said, "Kung Fu Bro, everything can be discussed. I'll tell you the benefits of being a star first. When the time comes, you will be a famous person and money will rush into your pocket." Tang Zheng was not moved in the slightest as he stopped a taxi and left with Fang Shishir, leaving Aimi stomping her feet and sighing in her place. A moment later, the two arrived at an old residential area and found the corresponding room. Before opening the door, Tang Zheng smelled a trace of blood. Chapter 378. Smelling the smell of blood, Tang Zheng's nerves immediately tensed up. His face sank as he said, "I have a general idea. Be careful. Fang Shishir nodded cautiously. Tang Zheng used his innate qi to open the door lock and rushed in. He looked around, but did not find any enemies. However, there was a person lying in a pool of blood on the ground. Fang Shishir followed him in. When she saw this scene, she couldn't help but exclaim, "How did he die?" The deceased was the waiter. We were a step too late. The other party obviously knew that I was not dead, so they made the first move and got rid of this insider. Tang Zheng's eyes flashed with killing intent. Doesn't that mean we can't find the real culprit behind this? Fang Shishir had a face of disappointment. Tang Zheng coldly snorted and said, "The real culprit is about to come out. It must be someone from the Rockefeller family. It doesn't matter if this person dies. Although there is no evidence, I will put this on their heads." Fang Shishir's expression was a little ugly. Thinking of the gentlemanly Louis from before, she could not help but sigh. She did not expect him to disguise himself so well. She had to avoid him as much as possible in the future. The two of them did not stay at the scene of the murder. After making sure that they did not leave any clues, they quickly left the room and did not lock the door so that the neighbors could see them and call the police. Fortunately, this was an old neighborhood and there were no surveillance cameras. Otherwise, their visit would have aroused suspicion. In the next 2 days, the capital was calm. Tang Zheng was thinking hard about how to use the Dragon Yuan Dan to help Fang Shishir improve her cultivation before she went abroad. In the end, Fang Shishir saw that he was at his wit's end and proposed to try it herself. This gave Tang Zheng a fright. Even he himself could not completely absorb the energy of the Dragon Yuan Dan. How could Fang Shishir, who is only at the 6th grade of Qi refining stage, do it? Tang Zheng, there is no way. How will we know if we don't try? Fang Shishir was eager to try and was quite bold. This Dragon Yuan pill is too risky. Then let's eat half at a time. Fang Shishir thought of compromise. Tang Zheng's eyes lit up. That's right, why was he so stupid? If one pill was not enough, half a pill should be enough. Without any hesitation, he carefully cut out the Dragon Yuan pill and fed it to Fang Shishir. He carefully stood guard at the side. After Fang Shishir took half of the Dragon Yuan pill, a wave of energy began to vibrate on the surface of her body. However, there was no burning scene like Tang Zheng. Hey, what's going on? Tang Zheng was puzzled, but he didn't dare to be careless. He stayed by her side all night. It was not until dawn when Fang Shishir opened her eyes that Tang Zheng breathed a sigh of relief. Nothing seemed to have happened that night, but in fact, Tang Zheng's heart was in turmoil, as if he was on a roller coaster. Fang Shishir's eyes were in high spirits, reflecting the light outside the window, adding a mysterious aura to her body. "How do you feel?" Tang Zheng asked. Fang Shishir was unable to contain her joy as she said, "When the energy of the Dragon Yuan Dan exploded, it was extremely hot, as if it was going to ignite me. However, I don't know where a cold energy came from within my body, but it neutralized the energy of the Dragon Yuan Dan and completely transformed it into innate Qi. That night, I directly went from the 6th grade of Qi refining to the 1st grade of foundation establishment." Tang Zheng was shocked. He finally understood what was going on. Dragon blood was a pure yang item, so the Dragon Yuan pill was also a pure yang pill. Tang Zheng's body was the 9 yang saint body, so it was extremely yang. After consuming the Dragon Yuan pill, the pure yang energy overlapped with each other, so the energy was naturally very terrifying. However, Fang Shishir had a purine body, and she had only consumed half of the Dragon Yuan pill, so there was no such situation. Instead, it was very beneficial. Tang Zheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Dragon Yuan pill was actually the most suitable for Fang Shishir and Lu Qingmei's physiques. Tang Zheng explained the reason to Fang Shishir. Fang Shishir was also very surprised. This was truly a pleasant surprise. Shishir, your cultivation has increased so much that you have a certain amount of self-protection abroad. I'll give you 2 more Dragon Yuan pills, and the remaining half for you to consume in the future. But you have to be careful. Using this kind of pill to forcefully increase one's cultivation can easily cause one's foundation to be unstable. This is not a long-term solution. After you increase your cultivation this time, you have to focus on cultivation for a long time. Don't be in a hurry to consume the Dragon Yuan pill. Tang Zheng warned. Fang Shishir nodded her head and said, I understand. Don't worry, my leave is almost over. I'll fly back today. Although Tang Zheng was reluctant, there was nothing he could do. The two of them spent the entire morning in the hotel room, lingering to their heart's content. After sending Fang Shishir on the plane, Tang Zheng's head was filled with a strong feeling of parting. This time, they would have to wait for a few months before they could meet again. Yinqing University. When Tang Zheng walked to the door of the dormitory, he saw AI Mi waiting there again. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This person was too reluctant to part with him. She actually wanted to make him a star. How could he have so much time? Being a star was simply not a proper occupation. When AI Mi saw Tang Zheng, she was overjoyed. She quickly walked over and said, Brother Kung Fu, we meet again. Have you considered my proposal? Tang Zheng shook his head without hesitation. I'm sorry, I'm not interested. AI Mi hurriedly tried to persuade him. Brother Kung Fu, you're a student now. You have plenty of time. Moreover, if you work hard for the next 4 years, you won't have to work so hard like other students when you graduate. It's a great thing. Tang Zheng still shook his head. He thought to himself that if he didn't want to be a star, he wouldn't have to work so hard after graduation. Seeing Tang Zheng's stubbornness, AI Mi looked at him with her watery little eyes and said pitifully, Brother Kung Fu, you might not fully understand. As long as you sign with our company, you can participate in a costume drama. Many people have waited for many years for this opportunity. You're saying that I can shoot a movie right now? AI Mi thought Tang Zheng was moved and hurriedly nodded. Yes, as long as you sign with our company, you can immediately act in a movie and walk on the big screen. Tang Zheng still refused without hesitation. I'll tell you the truth. Even if you ask me 3 times, I still won't agree. Please go back. Don't waste your time on me. Seeing that he had made up his mind, AI Mi looked sad and said with a sad face, Brother Kung Fu, you really wasted a heaven-sent opportunity. Tang Zheng was unmoved and returned to the dormitory. Sinosaurus looked downstairs and asked without turning his head, Lao San, why is that sissy looking for you? I saw that he's been waiting downstairs for a long time. Oh, he's an agent from some acting company. He wants me to shoot a movie and package me as a star. Tang Zheng said casually. Holy SH**T. Sinosaurus immediately jumped up. The other two also looked at Tang Zheng in surprise. Lao San, you're going to be a star? Then hurry up and give us a few autographs. You'll be worth a lot of money in the future. I rejected him. Tang Zheng said. Oh, why? It's such a good opportunity. Others can't ask for it. The 3 were puzzled. Tang Zheng smiled. I'm a student. Of course my main job is to study. Why would I want to be a star? The 3 were stunned and gave a thumbs up. Lao San, you're awesome. Ding ling ling. Suddenly, Tang Zheng's phone rang. He quickly picked it up and saw that it was an unknown number. Hello, who is this? Tang Zheng, is that you? A pleasant voice sounded. It's me. Tang Zheng didn't recognize who the other party was. Who are you? I'm Mu Hanyin, Nana's mother. Tang Zheng's expression changed and said excitedly, Sister Mu, it's you. Why did you think of calling me? At the beginning, the two sides agreed that because the relationship between Tang Zheng and the Long family was too stiff, it was inconvenient to contact him. He didn't expect that Mu Hanyin would take the initiative to contact him. Tang Zheng, I'm in trouble. Nana and I came to the capital. Mu Hanyin said. Ah, you came to the capital? Where? What kind of trouble? Tang Zheng was very curious. The other party's identity was not ordinary. She was the young mistress of the Long family in Dianan. Who would go against her? I just got off the plane. I'm taking a taxi to the city center. Let's meet in the city center. It's a long story. I'll tell you in detail when the time comes. Mu Hongyin's voice was obviously a little tired. Tang Zheng was a little cold. He guessed that something must have happened to the other party, so he quickly agreed. Lao San, where are you going? It sounds like another woman. Your real girlfriend just left. Where did this beauty come from? His roommate joked. I really have something to do. I'll go first. Tang Zheng quickly left the dormitory and took a taxi to the city center. Finally, he saw Mu Hongyan and Nana in front of a commercial square in the city center. It had only been a few months since they last saw each other. Tang Zheng found that Mu Hongyan seemed to have changed into a different person. Looking from afar, her whole person was haggard. Although she was still beautiful, she lacked a trace of spirit. Nanan still grew a bit taller and was still as cute as ever. Looking left and right, she suddenly found Tang Zheng. Her big round eyes lit up as she flew over and opened her arms as she shouted, "Big brother, godly doctor! Big brother, godly doctor!" The little girl's voice was very clear and penetrating, attracting the attention of many passers-by. Looking at the elf-like girl throwing herself into the arms of a young man, everyone was a little envious of the young man. Tang Zheng hugged Nana and lifted her up high. Nana immediately giggled. Her smile was even brighter than the sun in the sky. "Brother, godly doctor, Nana hasn't seen you for a long time. Nana missed you so much." Nana leaned on Tang Zheng's shoulder and said with a pout. Tang Zheng laughed and said, "I missed you too. Nana has grown taller and more beautiful." "Really?" "Of course. Didn't you see so many uncles and aunts looking at you? It's because you're too beautiful," Tang Zheng said. Nana tilted her head and looked at the others. She nodded and said, "Nana also thinks that she has become more beautiful." Nana's body was better, so her spirit was naturally better. She exercised more and her face was flushed. Her whole person looked radiant and naturally more beautiful. Chapter 379. Someone bullied your mother? Tang Zheng's face sank. Nana nodded her head. "Yes, they're too bad. They chased Mom and Nana out, causing Mom to cry. When Mom cries, Nana cries too. They're not good people." Looking at her delicate and pitiful appearance, Tang Zheng found it hard to imagine what kind of grievances they had suffered. He patted her back and comforted her. "Nan, don't worry. Big brother will definitely protect you and make the bad guys unable to hurt you. I will also help you vent your anger and beat the bad guys." "That's right. Beat those bad guys up." Nana fumed. Mu Hongyan walked over and heard their conversation. She squeezed out a smile at Tang Zheng. "Long time no see, Tang Zheng. Big sister Mu, long time no see. You look haggard." Mu Hongyan shook her head and smiled bitterly, looking rather lonely. Seeing her carrying her luggage, Tang Zheng said, "Let me carry it. Have the two of you found a place to stay?" "Not yet. I called you the moment I got off the plane. Let's look for a hotel first." Mu Hongyan nodded her head. Tang Zheng found the nearest hotel and arranged for the mother and daughter to stay there. Mu Hongyan had been silent the entire time, and only when the three of them entered the room did her tense nerves relax a little. When Nanan saw Tang Zheng, she did not know where her strength came from, but she became lively and excited. Mu Hongyan looked at Nana in a daze. "Nana has been unhappy recently, and she's so happy to see you." "What happened?" Tang Zheng asked curiously. Mu Hongyan sighed inwardly. "Let's talk outside." This was a suite. Nana was entertaining herself in the bedroom. The two of them came to the living room. Tang Zheng poured her a glass of water and quietly waited for her answer. Mu Hongyan took a sip of water, took a deep breath, and said, "Ever since you left Dianan, it has been peaceful for a period of time. Long Tingyu has also restrained himself a lot. But ever since he came to the capital some time ago, a lot of changes have taken place after he went back." Tang Zheng still remembered that he was the one who injured Long Tingyu, and then Long Tingyu quietly left the capital. After Long Tingyu returned from the capital, he became very strange. He would often stir up trouble in front of the old man, and in the end, I don't know where he found an Island Nation person, but he actually slandered me and the people of the Island Nation to destroy the interests of the Long family. He even blamed me for the death of Wang Fuchuan last time. Mu Hongyan said with an angry and helpless tone, "I have operated the family business for the Long family for so many years, and have never harmed the interests of the Long family for my own personal gain. Long Tingyu is so despicable, using such a method to slander me." At first, the old man did not believe it, but later on, under the attacks of Long Tingyu and his mother day and night, he actually believed it. In a fit of anger, he chased us out of the house. How preposterous! Tang Zheng was furious. He had already figured out that it was Long Tengyu who had colluded with the people of the island nation to betray the interests of the Long family. He wanted to seize power from Mu Hongyan, but he did not expect them to turn black and white. That so-called island nation person was definitely Sawada Ichiro. Who would have thought that he and Long Tengyu would go to Dianan? Sister Mu, all of this is slander. Don't be sad. The Long family does not distinguish between black and white, and allows Long Tengyu to do whatever he wants. One day, they will swallow the evil that they have sown. Tang Zheng said unjustly. Sister Mu, all of this is the result of Long Tengyu colluding with the people of the island nation. They're slandering you. I will accompany you to the Long family and explain it clearly in person. Mu Hongyan shook his head in a daze. No need. From the moment I stepped out of the Long family, I was no longer a member of the Long family. Since they are so heartless, when I go back, they will definitely have other schemes. I don't want Nana to grow up in such an environment. Tang Zheng's heart moved. Mu Hongyan had already seen through it. She had done so much for the Long family and managed the family business, but in the end, this was the result that she received. Moreover, for the sake of her daughter, she did not want her to go back and grow up in that kind of environment. She was a capable woman, and even if she left the Long family, she could still live a good life. All right, I'll leave then. Then I won't go back in the future. I'll definitely protect you. I won't allow anyone to hurt you. Tang Zheng said firmly. Mu Hongyan laughed bitterly. Thank you, Tang Zheng. Nana and I left our home with nothing, and had no relatives. In the end, we could only come and seek refuge with you. Speaking of which, I'm really a failure as a person. Other than you, I actually don't have any other close friends. Tang Zheng inwardly sighed. As the saying goes, it is lonely at the top. In the past, Mu Hongyan was high and mighty. Not only did she have the ability, but she also had the status. How could a normal person have the qualifications to be her friend? Most of the people she knew were only interested in benefits, so she did not have any sincere friends. Sister Mu, what are your plans for the future? Tang Zheng asked. Mu Hongyan said, on the way here, I thought about it for a long time. In the future, Nana still needs money to live, so I will look for a job. Look for a job? Tang Zheng stared blankly. In the past, Mu Hongyan was the head of the family business. If she was asked to find a job and live under someone else's roof, she would definitely not be able to adapt. Who knows how much she would suffer? Yes, if you don't look for a job, you can't just sit there and eat. I believe that the heavens will not bar one's way. There will definitely be a way. Sister Mu, I believe in you. There is no doubt about your ability. You will definitely be able to make a comeback. Tang Zheng encouraged. Mu Hongyan squeezed out a smile. Then I'll take advantage of your auspicious words. Mom, brother godly doctor, I'm hungry. Nana walked out, clutching her stomach, and shouted with a pout. Come, let's go downstairs to eat. Nana is a guest from afar. Big brother will treat you to a meal. Let's see what you like to eat. Tang Zheng laughed. Nana shook her head and said, Mom has no money. We have to be thrifty. Just eat enough. There is no need to eat good things. Tang Zheng had a headache. This little girl was so sensible. Mu Hongyan's eyes turned red, and she almost cried. She quickly turned her head. Tang Zheng quickly hugged Nana and said, Nana, don't worry. Big brother will treat you. You will eat the best food. Really? Nana stared with her big eyes and asked expectantly. Tang Zheng nodded heavily. Of course, when did Big Brother lie to you? Nana shook her head seriously. Brother Godly Doctor is the best. He never lies to Nana. Wow, that's great. Nana wants to eat good food. Mom, let's go eat. Mu Hongyan wiped the corner of her eyes and forced a smile. Okay, let's go eat. The group arrived at the restaurant, and Tang Zheng ordered a large table of food. Nanan's face blossomed into a smile as she continuously stuffed food into her small mouth, eating with relish. Mu Hongyan had no appetite. After eating a few mouthfuls, she stared blankly at Nana. Her eyes couldn't help but become a little infatuated. The corner of her mouth gradually revealed a smile. Nana looked up and saw the two people staring at her. She hurriedly said, "Mom, Brother Godly Doctor, you also eat. This is the most delicious. Nana will give you some food." Nana obediently put some food in everyone's bowl. From afar, they looked like a happy family of three. After eating dinner, the three returned to their room. Just as Tang Zheng was about to leave, he was tightly hugged by Nan Nan. "Brother Godly Doctor, can you not leave? Stay and accompany Mother and Nan Nan. During this time, Mother has not been able to sleep well. With Brother Godly Doctor's protection, Mother will definitely be able to sleep well." The two people did not expect Nana to make such a request. Tang Zheng looked at Mu Hongyan. Mu Hongyan revealed an awkward expression and said, "Nana, Brother Godly Doctor wants to go home and rest. He can't stay in the hotel to rest." "Why?" "Nana wants Brother Godly Doctor to stay." "Brother Godly Doctor, you're the best. Can you promise, Nana?" Nana looked at Tang Zheng pitifully. Her big eyes were watery, making people unable to bear to refuse. Tang Zheng was in a dilemma. There was only one bedroom in this room. They were mother and daughter, so it was not appropriate for them to stay the night. He looked at Mu Hongyan. She also had an awkward expression. She did not know what to do. Seeing that Nana was unwilling to give up, and that she must have suffered a lot of grievances, Tang Zheng could not bear to refuse. He hesitated for a moment and said, "Sister Mu, if it's convenient, I can stay. I'll sleep in the living room." Looking at her pitiful daughter, Mu Hongyan's heart softened. She also wanted to ask Tang Zheng to stay, but she was afraid that he would not be willing. Seeing that he actually took the initiative to stay, her heart warmed. She gratefully said, "Tang Zheng, thank you. Us mother and daughter owe you too much." Sister Mu, there's no need to say these things. You've also been tired for a day. Go take a bath and sleep first," Tang Zheng said. Nana cheered and almost jumped up. She hugged Tang Zheng's neck and kissed him on the cheek and said, "Brother Godly Doctor, you're the best. You and Mother are the best people to Nana. Nana likes you the most." Tang Zheng laughed and patted her little head and said, "Then hurry up and take a bath and go to bed. With Brother Godly Doctor protecting you, bad people will not be able to hurt you." Nan Nan nodded and quickly rushed into the bedroom to find her pajamas. Then she rushed into the bathroom. Mu Hongyan smiled and said, "Tang Zheng, you watch TV for a while. I'll go watch her." The sound of water and Nana's laughter came from the bathroom. After a while, Nana ran out wearing a cartoon pajamas and threw herself into Tang Zheng's arms. "Brother Godly Doctor," Nana took a bath. "Is it fragrant?" "Haha, fragrant. Nana is the most fragrant." Tang Zheng laughed. "Brother Godly Doctor, Nana will tell you a secret. Mother is the most fragrant, even more fragrant than Nana. If you don't believe me, wait for Mother to take a bath. Smell it, and you'll know that Nana is not lying," Nana said mysteriously. Tang Zheng was suddenly stunned. Even Mu Hongyan was stunned. She did not expect Nana to say this. Her face immediately turned red and looked at Tang Zheng. Coincidentally, Tang Zheng also looked up at her, and their eyes met. Chapter 380. Tang Zheng also remembered that time. He coughed awkwardly and quickly averted his gaze. Nana looked at the two of them curiously and asked, "Mom, why is your face so red? Are you having a fever?" "Brother Godly Doctor, you know how to treat illnesses. Can you help me see what's wrong with my mother?" Tang Zheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Children's words carried no harm, but these words were too embarrassing. Mu Hongyan immediately restrained her mind and said, "Nana, Mom is fine. You play with Brother for a while. I'm going to take a bath." With that, he picked up his clothes and went into the bathroom. Mu Hongyan raised her head, and the warm water poured down from the top of her head, flowing all over her body. Suddenly, her heart trembled, and only then did she realize that Tang Zheng was still sitting outside. He must have heard the sound of water. Would he rush in? Definitely not. But when he heard the sound of water, would he fantasize about her bathing? She took a few deep breaths and suppressed the absurd thoughts in her heart with great difficulty. She muttered to herself, "Mu Hongyan, what are you thinking about?" Tang Zheng is your benefactor, a gentleman. How can you let your imagination run wild and think of him so unbearably? He's not a beast like Long Tingyu. There was a very important reason why Mu Hongyan chose to join Tang Zheng. Long Tingyu had always been thinking about her, and now that she had been chased out of the house, Long Tingyu's chance had come. If there was no one to protect her, Long Tingyu would definitely be unbridled, and she would definitely fall into his clutches. It would be better to kill her with a single slash, but for Nana, she could not die. She had to live on strong and with dignity. All of this, only Tang Zheng could satisfy her, which was why she came all the way to the capital. Moreover, back then, Tang Zheng had promised her that he would teach Nanan the cultivation method. In the past, he had some misgivings in the Long family, but now, it was the most appropriate time. Mu Hongyan lowered her head and looked at the water droplets flowing through every inch of her skin. Every inch of her skin was emitting a soul-stirring magic. Her figure was very good. It could be said to be a devil's figure. The place that should be big was big, the place that should be small was small, and the place that should be small was small. As the saying goes, a beautiful woman has a short life. If she doesn't have the ability to protect herself, being too beautiful is often the root of disaster. After she finished bathing, she put on her pajamas. She could vaguely see her graceful figure under her pajamas. She did not expect Tang Zheng to stay, so her pajamas were a little. Fortunately, she was still wearing underwear, so she was not exposed. Hearing the sound of footsteps, Tang Zheng, who was playing with Nana, stopped and subconsciously raised his head. His eyes could not help but light up and his heart beat faster. Mu Hongyan was really too beautiful. No, other than being beautiful, she also had a mature charm, which was even more alluring than simple beauty. Even Tang Zheng, who was used to seeing beauties, could not help but feel a rush of excitement. When Mu Hongyan saw Tang Zheng's gaze, not only did she not feel disgusted, she was even secretly happy, thinking that she was still as charming as before. "Mom, you're done bathing. Brother Godly Doctor, quickly go and smell Mom's body. It's very fragrant," Nana said impatiently, pulling Tang Zheng in front of Mu Hongyan. Sure enough, a faint fragrance entered his nose. This fragrance was more rich than the body fragrance of an ordinary woman. It was very pleasant to the nose. Mu Hongyan was a little embarrassed. She hurriedly hugged Nana, covered her chest, and said, "Nana, don't be naughty. Quickly go back to the room and sleep. Don't disturb Brother's rest." Nana pouted and said, "Brother hasn't smelled it yet. Mom is really stingy." The two were incomparably embarrassed. Mu Hongyan blushed and said, "We'll go back to the room to rest first. Tang Zheng, you should also sleep early." "Okay, you guys rest. Nana, good night. Brother Godly Doctor, the sofa is not comfortable. Come in and sleep with us on the bed. The bed is very big. The three of us can sleep together." Nana warmly invited. Tang Zheng was left speechless. "Little girl, aren't you being too passionate?" Mu Hongyan wished she could find a hole to hide in. She was also afraid that Nana would say something shocking, so she hurriedly carried her into the bedroom. The door was closed. Tang Zheng bitterly smiled and shook his head. He went to wash up and lay on the sofa with his clothes on. He covered himself with a blanket that he had specially found from the hotel and listened. There was no sound in the room, as if the mother and daughter had already fallen asleep. Tang Zheng rested his head on his hands and sighed. He did not expect that when he was in a hurry to sell the life-continuing pill, he would meet Mu Hongyan and form an unbreakable bond with the mother and daughter. Mu Hongyan was originally the young mistress of the Long family. Her status was illustrious, but how long had it been since she was beaten down to the mortal world? Big families are really cold and indifferent. If they continue to stay in such a big family, their entire body will become sick. It was a wise decision for them to leave the Long family. Long Tengyu colluded with the people of the island nation, but I don't think he will be able to get any benefits in the end. The people of the island nation are not vegetarians. Who cares? The Long family has nothing to do with me. Long Tengyu better squander all the Long family. Long Xuanyuan's martial arts are quite good. How did he teach such a bastard son? he will cry in the future. After thinking for a while, Tang Zheng fell into a deep sleep. Crack! In the middle of the night, Tang Zheng was awakened by the slight sound of the door lock twisting. He did not immediately stand up, but slowly turned his head to look at the door. He saw the door quietly open, and a figure flashed as a person barged in. In the darkness, he could not clearly see the person's appearance, but without a doubt, this person was not a good person. From the other person's speed, Tang Zheng could tell. Tang Zheng held his breath, thinking, who is this person? Why did he sneak in the middle of the night? Could it be a thief? This is a 5-star hotel. How could there be a thief with such guts? Tang Zheng frowned. This person did not come with good intentions. This person was definitely here for Mu Hongyan and her mother. Who sent him? Could it be that the mother and daughter were not miserable enough? They still wanted to send someone to deal with them? This person quickly approached the bedroom door in the darkness. The room was pitch black, and the other party obviously did not notice that there was a person lying on the sofa. When this person was close to the bedroom door, suddenly he felt a sense of danger and quickly jumped to the side. Whiz! A hand just happened to appear where he was standing just now. Silently, like a ghost, this person quickly retreated. His hand touched his waist, and a treasured sword that was shining with a cold light appeared in his hand. This treasured sword was like a spirit snake, twisting and turning freely. With a swoosh, it shot out, bringing with it a few sword flowers. Although it could not be seen clearly in the darkness, the sound of the sword was like a poisonous snake spitting out its tongue. However, both sides were immersed in the darkness, so they could not see each other's appearance. They could only distinguish the position by listening. But this was not difficult for the two people. Both sides were experts. As long as there was a slight movement, the swift and fierce moves would immediately kill, as if it was under the light of a lamp. After exchanging a few moves, Tang Zheng shivered. The opponent was a sword expert and used a soft sword. The sword moves were unpredictable, sometimes east, sometimes west, sometimes south, sometimes north, changing constantly, erratic and erratic. Tang Zheng did not use war spirit, but relied on his bare hands to exchange blows with the opponent's soft sword and did not fall into a disadvantageous position. From this point, it could be determined that the opponent's cultivation was slightly lower than Tang Zheng's, but it could be concluded that he was a Xiantian master. For a Xiantian master to deal with a powerless mother and daughter, it was really a big deal, the anger in Tang Zheng's heart soared. The assassin seemed to be quite surprised by the opponent's strength. After several probing, he was actually unable to do anything to the opponent, and there were a few times where it was extremely thrilling, almost being hit by the opponent's attack. It was just that he had already alerted the enemy. If he could not complete the mission this time, then there would be even less of a chance next time. So he did not retreat, and instead attacked even more fiercely. The two of them went back and forth, fighting happily, and the whooshing sound was endless. Bang! The assassin accidentally hit the table, and with a clang, something on the table fell, making a loud sound. Tang Zheng frowned. Such a big movement should not wake up the mother and daughter in the room. Mu Hongyan suddenly woke up. She had not been sleeping well during this period of time, and the slightest movement would wake her up. Hearing the sound of something falling in the living room, she turned on the light and got out of bed, opened the bedroom door, and while turning on the light in the living room, she asked, Tang Zheng, are you asleep? The sudden light made Tang Zheng and the assassin subconsciously close their eyes, and then open them in an instant. The two of them looked at each other at the same time, as if they wanted to see such a powerful master clearly. When the two of them saw each other clearly, they exclaimed at the same time, how could it be you? Both of them stopped and stared at each other in disbelief. After fighting for a long time, they were still old acquaintances. Cold-faced assassin Xiaoling. How could it be you again? Tang Zheng asked murderously. After the college entrance examination, he and Feng Shishir went to Dianan to play, and on the train, they met Xiaoling assassinating Wang Fuchuan. By chance, Tang Zheng and Xiaoling fought and almost fell into his hands. Tang Zheng clearly remembered that at that time, Xiao Xiaoling's cultivation was at the 8th grade of the natal realm. He hadn't seen him for a few months, and the other party had broken through to the 1st grade of the natal realm, which was fast enough. Xiao Xiaoling was even more surprised than Tang Zheng. He had a deep memory of the battle at that time. He thought that his cultivation base had gone up another level and his strength had greatly increased, but he didn't expect that Tang Zheng, who was far inferior to him at that time, had become so powerful, faintly suppressing him. "Tang Zheng, it's you," Xiao Xiaoling said. Tang Zheng coldly snorted and said, "Xiao Xiaoling, the Long family released the news that they must catch you and ask who hired you to kill Wang Fuchuan. I didn't expect that you were not afraid and came to the capital. Well, if the Long family wants to catch me, they must have the ability to do so," Xiao Xiaoling said disdainfully. In fact, in these months, he was not clear about the outside world, but returned to his master and concentrated on cultivation. After making a big breakthrough, he appeared in Jianghu again. Chapter 381. Xiao Xiaolin was really surprised. He didn't expect to meet Tang Zheng. His impression of Tang Zheng was too deep. The fight just now made him even more cautious. After a few months of not seeing each other, Tang Zheng's strength had obviously gone up a level. "Who sent you this time?" Tang Zheng asked. Xiao Xiaoling retorted, "I'm a killer. I won't divulge any information about the guests." "Is that so? Then I'll catch you first and see if you say anything." Tang Zheng's figure flashed and attacked again. With the light, his speed was even faster. In the blink of an eye, his 2 fingers pierced Xiao Xiaoling's chest. Shua! The sword light flashed, the soft sword trembled, and a sword flower bloomed on Xiao Xiaoling's chest, blocking Tang Zheng's move. However, Tang Zheng's move was not old. He only saw his fingers change and cut towards the void. The air vibrated. Before it was clear how Tang Zheng attacked, his hand crossed the blooming sword flower and stabbed Xiao Xiaoling's chest. Xiao Xiaoling's face changed greatly, and he exclaimed, "How did you do it?" Tang Zheng broke through his defense with only one hand and attacked an inch in front of him. How could he not be shocked? Tang Zheng gave a cold smile, but did not reply. This was the 3rd move of the heaven-flying immortal, lightning fire sword. The essence of this move was speed, catching the enemy off guard, and it was as fast as lightning. Although he did not use the war spirit sword and only used his hands, he also played 60 to 70% of the essence and defeated the enemy in one move. Xiao Xiaoling quickly retreated, trying to avoid this move, but no matter how he retreated, Tang Zheng's hand was always an inch away from his chest. Shua! The soft sword trembled, and the cold sword tip was like a viper biting at Tang Zheng. However, Tang Zheng's speed was faster. He changed his sword move and put his finger on Xiao Xiaoling's throat. This time, if Xiao Xiao moved, his throat would be pierced. A trace of horror flashed through Xiao Zhao's cold eyes. He didn't expect that Tang Zheng could change his moves so quickly, and the attack was so horrible. Before he could react, the other side had completely taken the initiative. "Don't move. If you move, I will pierce your throat," Tang Zheng said coldly. Xiao Xiao was like a stone statue, motionless, and it was difficult to hide the loneliness of failure on his face. Tang Zheng grabbed the soft sword in his hand and held it across his throat. He said, "Now can you tell me who is the real murderer behind the scenes?" Xiao Xiao snorted coldly with dissatisfaction and asked, "Tang Zheng, how did you do this? It's only been a few months. How did you become so powerful?" If Xiao Xiao was still in the same place and Tang Zheng won, Xiao Xiao could still figure it out. But the key was that he had improved 2 levels of cultivation, but still lost to Tang Zheng, which made him puzzled. His master had once said that he had great talent in swordsmanship, and his cultivation had proved this point. His cultivation speed was much faster than his 2 senior brothers, which was why he had reached the Xiantian realm at such a young age. But at this moment, he found that compared with Tang Zheng, he was actually inferior. "You're not qualified to ask questions. Answer my questions quickly, or I don't mind killing you," Tang Zheng said. Xiao Xiao said disdainfully, Will I, a cold-faced killer, sell the information to my guests? Then my signboard will be smashed. You are dreaming. Well, in that case, go to hell. Seeing that Tang Zheng's killing intent soared, Xiao Xiao was not afraid. Instead, he stubbornly raised his head, which made Tang Zheng very surprised. This cold-faced killer's bones were hard enough. Even if you don't say it, I know who sent you. Besides Long Tingyu, who else would be so crazy? Mu Hongyan, who had been silent, suddenly said. Xiao Zhao's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise, and subconsciously asked, "How do you know?" Hearing this, Tang Zheng and Mu Hongyan no longer doubted that the real murderer this time was really Long Tingyu. Tang Zheng couldn't help but remember that when Xiao Xiao assassinated Wang Fuchuan, wasn't it also Long Tingyu's work? He was really addicted to using assassination methods. Last time, it was against his own subordinates, but this time, it was against his sister-in-law and niece. It was really crazy. Mu Hongyan bit her lips. Her originally rosy lips became bloodless. She resisted great anger and asked, "Why does Long Tingyu want to kill our mother and daughter?" Since he had seen through the north, Xiao Xiao no longer concealed it and said, "I only care about killing people. I don't know the reason, and I don't want to know the reason." Well, since you're in this line of work, you should have awareness. This time you failed, and if you fail, go to hell. Tang Zheng said. Xiao Xiao was not afraid at all and said, "My skills are not as good as others. I can only blame myself for not learning well. 18 years later, I will be a good man again." Bah, you even killed people's orphans and widows. What kind of man are you? Tang Zheng said disdainfully. Xiao Zhao's face turned red, and he was speechless. "Brother Miracle Doctor, what are you doing?" Suddenly, Nana walked to the door, rubbing her eyes while looking at this scene curiously. Mu Hongyan quickly picked up Nana and said, "Nana, why are you awake? I woke up and I heard you talking." "Brother Miracle Doctor, why are you pointing your sword at him? Did he do something bad?" Nana asked curiously. Tang Zheng didn't want her to see this scene and quickly said, "Nana, go back to sleep quickly. Sister Mu, you carry Nana in. No matter what you hear, don't come out." Mu Hongyan glanced at her daughter and said, "Tang Zheng, Nana is here. Don't do anything." Mu Hongyan had already seen the killing intent in Tang Zheng's eyes. She knew what Tang Zheng was going to do. She was afraid that her daughter would be scared, so she advised. Tang Zheng glanced at Nana and found that she was staring at him with her big round eyes. If he killed someone here, it would not be good for Nana. Moreover, if he killed Xiao Xiao, Long Tingyu would definitely entrust other killers to assassinate Mu Hongyan. Therefore, it was necessary to eliminate the other party's conspiracy from the source. How could he eliminate the other party's conspiracy from a source? That must fall on Long Tingyu. At the beginning, Tang Zheng seriously injured Long Tingyu and scared him to run away with his tail between his legs. That was to say, he was very afraid of Tang Zheng. In that case, Long Tingyu should know that Mu Hongyan and her daughter were now protected by Tang Zheng. He wanted to weigh Tang Zheng first, and Xiao Xiao was the best person to pass on the message. "You go in first. I know what to do," Tang Zheng advised. Mu Hongyan nodded, carried Nana into the bedroom, and closed the door. "I was going to kill you. Since someone pleaded for you, I will let you go this time," Tang Zheng said. Xiao Zhao's cold face did not change. He thought that he would die, but he did not expect to escape. "You go back and tell Long Tingyu that if he wants to kill this pair of mother and daughter, then I will definitely go to Dianan to take his head. Let him think about whether his life is important or whether it is important to kill this pair of mother and daughter," Tang Zheng said with a murderous look. "I will definitely bring your words." Xiao Xiao said coldly, hesitated for a moment, and then asked, "You just used a sword technique. What kind of sword technique is it? So powerful." "Good eyes. As for what sword technique, you don't need to know. Your sword technique is not bad. You must have been taught by a famous teacher, right?" Tang Zheng asked with interest. "Tang Zheng, my sword technique has lost to you. This is a disgrace to my master. You wait. I will challenge you openly in the future. I will definitely defeat you," Xiao Xiao said resolutely. Tang Zheng raised his eyebrows. He did not expect that the other party would say that. He asked in surprise, If I beat you, you will challenge me? How can there be such a reason in this world? If you beat me with other martial arts, I will definitely be convinced, but you beat me with sword technique. This is an insult to my master. I will never allow it. I'm just not good at learning now. When my sword technique is great, I will come back to you. Xiao Xiao said coldly. An insult to your master? Who is your master? The more Tang Zheng listened, the more curious he became. The master of this cold-faced killer must be a master of the sword. Otherwise, Xiao Xiao would not take this matter so seriously. It is inconvenient for me to mention my master's name, but you have to remember that I will definitely defeat you in the future, and with a sword. Is that so? Then I will wait for you. Since the other party no longer tried to assassinate him and challenge him openly, Tang Zheng was not afraid at all. His own heaven-flying, immortal swordsmanship was not slow. He was confident that he could defeat the other party, but he was very interested in the master behind Xiao Xiao. Seeing that the other party did not say anything, it was useless to force him. So he returned the soft sword to him and said, "You go back. Remember to bring my original words." Xiao Xiao took the sword and shook it at his waist. The sword disappeared without a trace. Tang Zheng knew that the soft sword was wrapped around his waist and was not surprised. "I will definitely bring it. You wait for my challenge," Xiao Xiao said coldly and strode away. The room was quiet again. Tang Zheng sat on the sofa and pondered for a while. After this battle, Mu Hongyan and her daughter should be safe for the time being. Creak. The door opened and Mu Hongyan came out. Seeing that Xiao Xiao had left, she breathed a sigh of relief, but still frowned and said, "Tang Zheng, thank you. If it weren't for you, our mother and daughter would not be alive anymore." Tang Zheng had saved their mother and daughter again and again, so that Mu Hongyan did not know what to say to thank him. Tang Zheng was like their protector. Since they met him, even if there were great difficulties, it seemed that he was there to support them. Tang Zheng smiled and said, "Sister Mu, this is all heaven's will. If it weren't for Nana's insistence on keeping me, I wouldn't have happened to meet the killer, so there is no need to say thank you." Mu Hongyan's heart moved. It was indeed so. Could it be that they really had some kind of opportunity in the dark? Mu Hongyan walked over and sat beside Tang Zheng. She sighed and said, "No one expected that Long Tengyu would be so crazy. Regardless of family ties, he sent people to kill us. What do you think we should do in the future?" Chapter 382. Seeing her so worried, Tang Zheng pondered for a moment and said, "Sister Mu, there is no doubt about your ability. You will definitely be able to find a better job." Mu Hongyan shook her head with a wry smile and said, "When I left Dianan, Long Tengyu once said that I would not be able to find a job. Since he dared to send someone to kill me, then he must have already informed the enterprises in the capital. It would be easier said than done to find a suitable job." Tang Zheng frowned and said, "He is so despicable. He is forcing me to submit. I will never compromise." Mu Hongyan said firmly. She was very clear about what Long Tengyu was planning, but with her strong nature, she would definitely not submit. "Since these companies do not dare to offend the Long family, what will you do?" Tang Zheng asked worriedly. Mu Hongyan shook her head and said, "Let's take one step at a time and see what happens next." Tang Zheng looked at her beautiful face, but the worry between her brows could not be concealed. His heart was moved. This kind of woman could definitely arouse any man's desire to protect her. His eyes subconsciously glanced at his body. Damn, Tang Zheng almost cried out in surprise. She was not wearing underwear, only a thin layer of pajamas, faintly showing the alluring scenery inside. Tang Zheng's throat was a little dry. A man and a woman alone in the middle of the night. This kind of scenery was too alluring. She must have been frightened after waking up just now, so she forgot to wear her underwear. Mu Hongyan saw the strange look in Tang Zheng's eyes and lowered her head to look. She cried out in alarm and hurriedly covered her chest. Her face was red all the way to her neck as she angrily looked at Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng smiled embarrassedly and quickly looked away. "It's too late. You should rest early." Mu Hongyan stood up from the ground in panic, still clutching her chest, and rushed into the bedroom as if she was escaping. Tang Zheng rubbed his nose and also lay down on the sofa. Now, that Mu Hongyan was in such a predicament, he had an idea. However, there was no time to mention it because of this incident. He would have to wait until tomorrow. Mu Hongyan's face was red as she laid on the bed. Her hand was still on her chest as she recalled Tang Zheng's gaze. Her heartbeat couldn't help but quicken a bit. She quickly shook her head and warned herself in her heart, Mu Hongyan, what are you thinking about? You must be more careful in the future and not expose yourself again. Early in the morning, both of them had regained their composure, as if they could not remember what had happened last night. As the three of them ate breakfast, Tang Zheng casually asked, Sister Mu, since you want to find a job, I have a suitable position to recommend. I wonder if you're interested? Mu Hongyan raised her head and asked curiously, What position? I want to do something, but I don't have any talents. Sister Mu, you are a talent and have experience. Why don't you help me? This was an idea that Tang Zheng came up with last night. He wanted to let Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix bleach the shore, but the two of them were indeed lacking in ability. However, Mu Hongyan made up for the shortcomings of the two of them. With Mu Hongyan at the helm, his career could truly start. You want to start a business? Mu Hongyan was greatly surprised. Yes, but my temple is too small. I don't know if it can accommodate a great Buddha like Sister Mu. Tang Zheng joked. Mu Hongyan laughed bitterly. Am I a great Buddha? I'm already at my wit's end. I can't thank you enough for giving me this opportunity under the pressure of a long family. Oh, since that's the case, then it's a deal. Sister Mu, come and help me. Tang Zheng's face revealed joy. Mu Hongyan looked at Nana. Whether it was for her daughter or for herself, she had to repay Tang Zheng's kindness. She couldn't refuse this invitation. What do you want to start a business for? Mu Hongyan asked. Tang Zheng said, I haven't thought about it yet, but I have a few friends who will work with me. Coincidentally, they're still in the capital, so let's meet each other later. Mu Hongyan didn't have any objections. Tang Zheng contacted Lin Hu and the other two, and a moment later, they met at a coffee shop. When Lin Hu and the Fire Phoenix saw the mother and daughter pair, they couldn't help but be surprised, especially the Fire Phoenix who was a woman. She couldn't help but size up Mu Hongyan from head to toe, thinking to herself, this woman's noble aura is threatening, and she is so charming and beautiful. Just what kind of divine being is she? What kind of relationship did she have with young Master Tang? Furthermore, that little daughter of hers was like a little angel and was so close to Tang Zheng. Could it be that she was young Master Tang's illegitimate daughter? However, she immediately rejected this absurd thought. Young Master Tang was too young. How could he have such a big, illegitimate daughter? The only one who was not surprised was Yi Yuan. Back then, when Tang Zheng and Mu Hongyan fell off the cliff, the two of them had been together for a period of time, so they could not be considered strangers. Mu Hongyan looked at Yi Yuan in astonishment, obviously recognizing him as well. She thought to herself, could it be that Tang Zheng had brought the witch clan out of the 10,000 huge mountains? Both sides suppressed the suspicions in their hearts and looked at Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng coughed and introduced them to each other, only saying that Mu Hongyan was the partner that he had invited for the company in the future. As for the identities of Lin Hu and the Fire Phoenix, Tang Zheng did not explain in detail, but Mu Hongyan, who had seen countless people, was able to see some clues. The smell of the martial arts world on the two of them was too strong. Huzi, Fire Phoenix, last time I asked you to go back and think about what you were interested in doing in the future. Have you thought about it? Tang Zheng went straight to the point. Lin Hu and the Fire Phoenix looked at Mu Hongyan at the same time. Seeing that Tang Zheng did not have any misgivings, it meant that he was not an outsider. Thus, the two of them did not stand on ceremony. Fire Phoenix muttered to herself for a moment, then said, Young Master Tang, I am still interested in construction. I hope that I can work in real estate in the future. Lin Hu said, I don't know many things. I'm only a little interested in entertainment clubs and the like. Their answers were within Tang Zheng's expectations. As the saying goes, do familiar things and don't do unfamiliar things. They were all inclined to do things that they were familiar with. I respect your opinions, but the businesses under our control are too scattered, So I found Sister Mu to be a partner to integrate our businesses and truly push these businesses onto the right track. Tang Zheng said. Speaking of serious matters, Mu Hongyin's attitude became serious, and she was not modest, and said seriously, Tang Zheng, I need to understand what kind of businesses you have right now, so that I can formulate a specific plan for your future development. Tang Zheng himself did not know how many businesses he had, so he directly delegated his authority and said, You can discuss the specifics with the two of them. I'll be the shopkeeper. If there is anything you need me to do, I will participate. Tang Zheng's strength was not in business operations. He had his own specialties. He would not go to an outsider guide them. What he wanted to do was to escort them. Seeing that Tang Zheng respected Mu Hongyin so much, Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix felt deep veneration. Although they did not know what the relationship between the two was, but this Mu Hongyin was definitely not an ordinary person. The two big shots stopped underestimating each other and started to discuss with Mu Hongyin. Tang Zheng waved to Yi Yuan, and the two of them walked to the side. You've been out for so long. Do you miss home? Tang Zheng asked. A little, but I can also learn a lot of things outside. This is also the elder's intention. It's just that the only bad thing is that I can't stay by the envoy's side and serve him. Yi Yuan said regretfully. Tang Zheng smiled slightly, knowing what Yi Yuan was thinking. Back then, he had allowed Yi Yuan to stay in the ordinary balance because he had just left the 10,000 huge mountains and had too much knowledge to learn, and Tang Zheng did not have the time to teach him these things. Since he had already adapted to the modern society, he could stay by his side. Yuan, you don't need to return to the ordinary balance this time. Just stay by my side. Tang Zheng said indifferently. Yi Yuan beamed with joy and said excitedly, Thank you, Lord Envoy. But it's even more dangerous to follow me. Tang Zheng joked. Even Lord Envoy is not afraid of danger. So how can a Yuan be afraid of danger? Moreover, it is precisely because there is danger that a Yuan has a place to use his skills. Yi Yuan said firmly. Tang Zheng patted his shoulder and laughed. All right then, let's make our way around the capital. The two of them chatted for a while, and when they returned to their seats, they found that the three of them were chatting happily. Mu Hongyan looked at Tang Zheng in astonishment and sighed, Tang Zheng, I never thought that you would already be able to make such a big impact at such a young age. I'll let Sister Mu see a joke. Compared to the industries you managed in the past, my little business is just a drop in the bucket. It's not worth mentioning. You're being modest. Originally, I thought that you were a piece of white paper and that everything had to start from the beginning. But now that we have some foundation, our development will be faster. Mu Hongyan said confidently. Oh, then you guys have a result? Your career is quite complicated, but in the end, there are only two big parts. One is the clubhouse that Mr. Lin mentioned, and the other is the construction company. So we will also have to start building these two parts in the future. The clubhouse is too simple, so we have to set up a hotel management company, which includes the clubhouse, restaurants, and other companies. As for the construction company, if we want to do it, we have to do it big and do it as a real estate company. Mu Hongyan began to draw up a blueprint. Tang Zheng's heartstrings trembled. In the past, he had never thought of integrating the businesses under his banner, nor did he have any plans for the future. But after hearing Mu Hongyan's words, even though it was very simple, he could feel that according to her plans, the future development would definitely not be weak. Do we have enough money? These two industries are burning a lot of money, right? Tang Zheng asked. Mu Hongyan had a difficult expression on her face as she said, This will indeed require a large amount of funds, but we have to plan it well first. Step by step, we will definitely be able to raise the funds. Tang Zheng could not help but sigh. She was indeed a strong woman. Since she was so confident, and Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix's eyes were also shining, Tang Zheng would not pour cold water on them. He slapped the table and said, Good. According to your ideas, as long as you do it big, money is not a problem. Mu Hongyan looked at him in astonishment, not knowing why he was suddenly concerned about money. But since the boss was so generous, they would just follow his instructions. Tang Zheng was indeed not lacking in money. He was no longer that poor student who had to rack his brains for $100,000. He had too many ways to earn money, but he had never thought about it before. Chapter 383. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, another 10 days had passed. In order to understand more about Tang Zheng's businesses, Mu Hongyan, along with Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix, went to the Ordinary Balance to investigate. Tang Zheng and Nana stay behind. Tang Zheng bought 2 houses near the school, one for Yi Yuan and the other for Tang Zheng and Nana. Now that Nana and Tang Zheng were together, it was impossible for Tang Zheng to stay in the dormitory, so he moved out. During this period of time, a magical scene appeared on the campus of Yinqing University. A boy brought a delicate little daughter to class, occasionally strolling around the campus, and occasionally followed by another great beauty. These 3 people were Tang Zheng, Nana, and Yi Dingdang. Li Xiaotian had suddenly disappeared in the past few days, causing Tang Zheng to be at peace for a few more days. Tang Zheng knew that she had gone to investigate Louis's movements. Louis had disappeared from the face of the earth, so they guessed that the other party had not left Huaxia yet. They did not know what other schemes he had, so they had to be on guard. As for the martial sect, they did not directly come to find trouble with Tang Zheng. It seemed that they were still investigating the whereabouts of the demon god and the third elder, but they did not have any leads. The commotion caused by the martial arts assembly had gradually subsided, and no one would point at Tang Zheng as he walked on the road. Tang Zheng, other than going to class every day, would occasionally discuss archaeology with Professor Qi Shaoan. Other than that, he would either cultivate by himself or cultivate with Lu Qingmei. Of course, he would also spend a lot of time playing with Nana. Lu Qingmei had not found a job yet. He used to be a teacher, so there were not many professional jobs. However, she was not in a hurry and worked hard to cultivate every day. Just as Tang Zheng finished his class and went downstairs, Nana flew towards him. When he was in class, Yi Yuan looked after Nana. "Big brother, where are we going to play today?" Nana asked curiously. These few days, the little girl had been pestering Tang Zheng to play in many places in the capital. Before Tang Zheng could reply, Li Xiaotian walked over with a dark face and said in a deep voice, "Tang Zheng, there's news." "What news?" "Louis and Wales went to South Yunnan." "Hey, what are they going to South Yunnan for?" Although their whereabouts were secretive, they were still foreigners. In the end, they were unable to escape the Li Palace's intelligence network. "I don't know. Their whereabouts are mysterious, and their schemes are not small." Tang Zheng frowned. He could not figure out the other of Tang Zheng's goal. "I'm going to South Yunnan. Are you coming?" Li Xiaotian asked. Before Tang Zheng could answer, his phone rang. It was a call from Professor Qi Shaoan, asking Tang Zheng to go to his office. "I'll go to Professor Qi's office first. We'll talk in detail later," Tang Zheng said. After getting along with him for a while, he had a good impression of Qi Shaoan. This little old man talked about archaeology in a serious manner, but he was an upright person and was indeed knowledgeable. "Big brother, I'll go too," Nana said reluctantly. Now, she no longer called Tang Zheng brother godly doctor, but directly called him brother. This way, it would not cause unnecessary trouble. "All right, let's go." A moment later, the two of them arrived at Qi Shaoan's office. Qi Shaoan was studying an antique carefully. He raised his head and saw Nana. He asked curiously, "Tang Zheng, whose little girl is this? She's so cute." "She's my little sister. She's playing in school, so I brought her along," Tang Zheng said. Nana nodded at Qi Shaoan obediently. "Hello, Grandpa. Are you my big brother's teacher?" Qi Shaoan laughed. "This little girl is quite smart. Have a seat. I have something important to talk to you about." "What is it?" "Do you still remember that I mentioned to you that there was a new archaeological discovery in South Yunnan?" Qi Shaoan asked excitedly, as if something had excited him. Tang Zheng remembered. Qi Shaoan did mention it to him some time ago, but he did not take it to heart. "What new discovery?" This is the biggest archaeological discovery in recent years. I have a feeling that it will shock and even turn the archaeological world upside down." Tang Zheng's curiosity was piqued. He waited quietly for him to reveal the secret. Our country's satellite reconnaissance found that there are many tall, mysterious stone statues in the South Yunnan Mountains. They have never been detected before. Maybe it's because of the advancement of science and technology. Mysterious stone statues. Tang Zheng was shocked. His heart thumped wildly. He subconsciously thought of the guardian deities of the Wu tribe, the 4 stone statues that were about 10 feet tall. Yes, this is a new discovery in the archaeological world. The 100,000 Mountains has always been a blind spot in the archaeological world because of the rampant miasma, swamps, and ferocious birds and beasts. In the past, many archaeological teams wanted to go in and explore, but none of them returned. Therefore, no one in the archaeological world went to explore that unknown, mysterious area. Qi Shaowen said regretfully. After a pause, his eyes lit up again. He continued, but it's different this time. This time, we really made a big discovery. The 4 stone statues are very tall. They must be the work of the ancient people. But why are they in the South Yunnan Mountains? There must be many secrets behind it. As long as we can solve these secrets, it will be a great event in the archaeological world. Seeing how excited Qi Shaowen was, Tang Zheng felt as if his heart had fallen into an ice cave. He was certain that the 4 stone statues detected by the satellite must be the guardian deities of the Wu tribe. As for why the satellite had only detected them now, it was not because of the advancement of science and technology. It was because Tang Zheng had destroyed the prohibition of the South Yunnan Mountains. Thus, everything was exposed to the light of day. Tang Zheng could not help but feel regretful. If he did not destroy the prohibition, the Wu tribe would not be able to cultivate. This was a paradox. At this point, there was no use regretting. The key was how to fix it. He thought for a moment and said, "Professor Qi, didn't you say that the South Yunnan Mountains are full of dangers? In the past, the archaeological teams have never returned. We can't put ourselves in danger just because of this news." Qi Shaowen refuted. Which profession is not dangerous? In the past, we stopped exploring because we did not have conclusive evidence. Now that we have solid evidence, we can't just give up. Archaeology is a profession with many risks. We often have to go to places where ordinary people can't reach. Therefore, in addition to professional knowledge, we need to have a strong body. You're very good at it. You are so good at martial arts and have a natural sensitivity. You are born to be in this profession. The higher-ups have made a decision. This time, they will send an archaeological team to South Yunnan to investigate. We didn't break into the South Yunnan Mountains before. This time, we will not give up until we reach our goal. Qi Shaowen said heroically. Tang Zheng's expression had become very ugly. If this was the case, wouldn't the Wu tribe be exposed? If that was the case, he did not know whether it was a blessing or a curse. Tang Zheng, what's wrong? You look so pale. Are you not feeling well? Qi Shaowen asked with concern. Tang Zheng quickly shook his head and smiled awkwardly. I'm fine. Tang Zheng, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I will participate in this archaeological expedition as well. Originally, you didn't have a chance, but you are my disciple. Of course, I will fight for this opportunity for you. So, come with me. Qi Shaowen patted Tang Zheng's shoulder and said, undergraduate students were not qualified to participate in this level of archaeological expedition. If it were not for Qi Shaowen, the higher-ups would not have agreed to this request. Don't feel burdened. Although this expedition is dangerous, as long as we are careful, it will not be a big problem. Qi Shaowen thought that Tang Zheng was afraid, so he comforted him gently. However, Tang Zheng's heart skipped a beat. Since this archaeology was imperative and he had no way of stopping it, then following the archaeology team was a good idea. He said gratefully, "Thank you, Professor Qi. I will use this opportunity to learn humbly." Haha, I knew I wasn't wrong. Get ready, we'll set off tomorrow. Qi Shaowen smiled in satisfaction. Tang Zheng held Nana's hand and left the office. Li Xiaotian and Yi Yuan were waiting downstairs. Upon seeing Tang Zheng, Li Xiaotian asked impatiently, I'm going to South Yunnan to track down the whereabouts of those 2 people. What are you going to do? Li Xiaotian could not care less about the heaven-shocking bow for the time being. I will go to South Yunnan with the archaeological team tomorrow. You can go first. We will keep in touch when the time comes. Tang Zheng said. You're going to South Yunnan with the archaeological team? Yes, it said that the archaeologists have made a new discovery, so Professor Qi brought me along to broaden my horizons. Tang Zheng said calmly, not mentioning the stone statue. Although Li Xiaotian had entered the 10,000 huge mountains, he did not reach the settlement of the witch clan. All right, then I'll take my leave first. I'll contact you when the time comes. Tang Zheng, I'm leaving again. Why don't you give me the heaven-shocking bow now? Li Xiaotian said, unwilling to give up. Tang Zheng was silent. The heaven-shocking bow was his life-saving treasure. How could he give it to her? Seeing that Tang Zheng was ignoring him, Li Xiaotian curled his lips helplessly, turned around and left, and snorted. I will definitely take back the heaven-shocking bow. Seeing that Li Xiaotian had walked far away, Tang Zheng then whispered to Yi Yuan about the discovery of the satellite and the purpose of the archaeological team. Yi Yuan was shocked when he heard this. Yi Yuan had learned a lot in the past few months. It was not the ancient times anymore. Technology was advanced, and weapons were incomparable. No matter how strong a person was, they would not be able to contend against modern weapons. If the Witch Clan were to be discovered by the archaeological team, they would most likely be studied as Shao by mice. That would be terrifying. Lord Envoy, what should we do now? Yi Yuan asked helplessly. Tang Zheng warned. Immediately return to the 10,000 huge mountains and inform the elders of this news. See if the elders have any countermeasures. I will follow the archaeological team and act according to the situation. In short, we must not let the Witch Clan be exposed. Yi Yuan also had no good ideas and could only accept the order worriedly. Yes, Lord Envoy, I will definitely pass on your orders to the elders. But can we really turn the situation around this time? Chapter 384. After Yi Yuan returned to the witch tribe, Li Xiaotian left first and left Nana in Yi Dingdong's care. After he left, only the Ye family could guarantee Nana's safety. Yi Dingdong only knew that Tang Zheng was going to Dianan for archaeology. Although she was reluctant to part with him, there was nothing she could do. As for Lu Qingmei, she did not go with him. She was busy cultivating and looking for a job every day. He also took Xiao Bai to bid farewell to the five-clawed golden dragon, but he did not ask Xiao Bai to stay. On this trip to the 100,000 mountains, Xiao Bai was an important helper. Of course, he would accompany him. Early in the morning, a car picked up Qi Shaoan and Tang Zheng and went straight to Beijing International Airport. Tang Zheng carried a small travel bag with him, but Professor Qi Shaoan had a lot of luggage. Professor Qi kept explaining the customs of Dianan to Tang Zheng along the way. They only stopped when they reached the airport. Tang Zheng, this time, we have a total of 20 archaeologists in our team. They're all elites in the field of archaeology. You have to be humble and learn from them. Do you understand? Qi Shaoan reminded him. Tang Zheng nodded his head. Professor Qi, don't worry, I still understand this bit of courtesy. Qi Shaoan patted him on the shoulder with relief. A shout interrupted their conversation. A team of more than 10 archaeologists waved at them and quickly walked over. Qi Professor, you're here. Qi Shaoan nodded with a smile. You're here early. This mission is a new discovery in the field of archaeology. Everyone can't wait. One of the archaeologists walked out and said with a cold face, Haha, yes. I have a feeling that our archaeology will be a success. Qi Shaoan was also very confident. Hello, Professor Qi. My name is Lu Ming. I'm the leader of this archaeology team. The archaeologist introduced himself to Qi Shaoan. Qi Shaoan looked at him in surprise and said, Forgive me for not recognizing you. Are you an archaeologist? Why haven't I seen you before? Seeing that the other party had not heard of his name, Lu Ming's face flashed with a hint of displeasure. He said seriously, Yes, I'm not from the ancient examination field, but from the government. This archaeological project is led by the government, so I was appointed as the team leader to coordinate all the work. Lu Ming's tone was a little arrogant, but Qi Shaoan didn't take it to heart. All he cared about was archaeology, so he gave a soft "oh" to show his understanding. Seeing that Qi Shaoan was unwilling to talk more about it, Lu Ming added, "The archaeological expedition this time will be dangerous, so there will be military personnel accompanying the entire expedition." Military? Qi Shaoan's eyes widened in disbelief. In the past, archaeology was not such a high standard. Tang Jing's heart trembled. Could it be that the military was involved in this matter? Could it be that they had a special understanding of the stone statues? Perhaps they had discovered some clues from the stone statues? Oh, it doesn't matter. Since we have the military's protection, we can focus on our archaeology. However, I hope that you won't interfere with our professional work. Qi Shaoan reminded. A strange look flashed across Lu Ming's face. Just then, a group of people walked quickly toward them. These people all looked determined and stern. They walked with majestic gait. At first glance, one could tell that they were soldiers. However, they were all dressed in casual clothes. "Hello, are you Team Leader Lu?" "That's me. You all know what your mission is this time, right? Now, let's board the plane." Lu Ming ordered with a straight face. "Yes, sir." The group went through the security check. Suddenly, a staff member shouted, "Whose pet is this? You can't bring it on the plane." Everyone's eyes turned in unison. They saw Tang Zheng holding a pure white puppy-like animal in his arms. Xiaobai was in Tang Zheng's travel bag just now. At this time, it would definitely show up at the security check. This time, Tang Zheng did not cast an illusion to make Xiaobai disappear. After all, Xiaobai would definitely show up along the way. If a small animal suddenly appeared in southern Yunnan, it would be suspicious. Unexpectedly, Xiaobai was stopped at the first checkpoint. Lu Ming walked over with a serious expression and asked in a deep voice, "What's the matter? This passenger's pet can't be brought on the plane." The staff member said, "What's wrong with you? This is an archaeology trip, not a sightseeing trip. How can you bring a pet?" Lu Ming asked sternly. Tang Zheng answered calmly, "This is my pet. I left the capital and no one took care of it, so I have to bring it with me." "How can you do that?" "This is nonsense. Put the animal down quickly. The plane is about to take off." Lu Ming ordered without hesitation. Yes, his tone was very harsh. He was using a commanding tone. Although he was respectful to Qi Shaoan, he did not treat other people the same way. After all, Qi Shaoan was a leading figure in the archaeology field. Although he was the team leader, he did not dare to be too arrogant. However, this did not mean that he did not dare to be rude to others. Tang Zheng became the first person to bear the brunt of his anger. Looking at Tang Zheng, Lu Ming's expression was serious, but his eyes flashed with contempt. He knew the members of this archaeology team. Except for Tang Zheng, everyone else had participated in archaeology several times and had a lot of work experience. Only Tang Zheng, a newcomer, was given this opportunity because of Qi Shaoan's recommendation. Therefore, Lu Ming looked down on Tang Zheng from the bottom of his heart. "Since you're a newcomer and you're not obedient, I'll take this opportunity to teach you a lesson. I'll establish my authority as the team leader." Lu Ming thought to himself. If this archaeology trip was successful, it would definitely be a shocking discovery. Lu Ming knew this very well. He had fought hard to get this opportunity. This would be the highlight of his career in the future. He could not afford to make any mistakes. Tang Zheng's expression turned cold. If the other party spoke politely, he would of course speak politely too. The other party was bossing him around, as if he was superior to others. This made him very unhappy. Without hesitation, he retorted, "I must bring Xiaobai with me." Then you don't have to go," Lu Ming said mercilessly. Seeing that Lu Ming was angry at Tang Zheng, Xiaobai bared its teeth at him. Its eyes were fierce, as if it could spit fire at any time. Tang Zheng patted its little head, indicating for it to calm down. "Team Leader Lu, why don't you make an exception?" Qi Shaoan persuaded. Tang Zheng had already reported to him about Xiaobai. He did not think it was a big deal, so he agreed. "Professor Qi, I know he's your disciple, but as a newcomer in the archaeology field, he must abide by the rules. Besides, I'm the team leader of this team. If I say you can't bring him, then you can't." Lu Ming did not back down. Seeing that both parties were at a stalemate, the others looked up. Lu Ming could not back down. This concerned his dignity. Qi Shaowen continued in an amiable tone. Team Leader Lu, I've already promised him. Please make an exception this time. It's just a small animal. Just make sure it won't run around on the plane. Besides, I've heard that this is a private flight. There won't be any other passengers, so there won't be any trouble. Qi Shaowen had also agreed to Tang Zheng's request because of the private plane. The staff looked at Lu Ming, obviously asking for his opinion. Professor Qi, I know he's your disciple, but you can't spoil him like this. This will only harm him. We're already being very generous by letting him participate this time. Let him bring a pet with him. This is ridiculous. Professor Qi, he's tarnishing your reputation. Lu Ming's voice rose a few octaves. Qi Shaowen's expression darkened. The others could also see that Lu Ming was not only targeting Tang Zheng, but was also using this opportunity to knock some sense into Qi Shaowen. Qi Shaowen had the most prestige in the team, even more so than Lu Ming, the team leader. Lu Ming wanted to improve his reputation, so naturally, he wanted to weaken Qi Shaowen's. Tang Zheng's expression darkened. He did not mind being scolded, but he could not stand to see Lu Ming humiliating Professor Qi like this. You didn't want me to bring him, right? Then I won't go, said Tang Zheng. No, you have to go. Qi Shaowen was determined to nurture Tang Zheng. How could he let go of such a good opportunity? Qi Shaowen raised his head and looked at Lu Ming with burning eyes. He said, Tang Zheng is my disciple. You can say that I'm spoiling him or that I'm partial to him, but I'll keep my promise to him. If he can't take part in this archaeological expedition, then I won't. Everyone was shocked to hear this. They did not expect Qi Shaowen to be so fond of Tang Zheng and to think so highly of him. Even Tang Zheng was surprised. This little old man was becoming more and more adorable. His stubbornness was admirable. Seeing that Qi Shaowen was not backing down, Lu Ming panicked. If Qi Shaowen did not take part, then this archaeological expedition would be ruined. He could not bear such a responsibility. He gritted his teeth and glared at Tang Zheng. He even glared at Xiao Bai, causing Xiao Bai to squeak in dissatisfaction. Qi Shaowen's expression changed several times. In the end, he compromised and said, Since Professor Qi insists, then I'll let it go this time. Just don't do it again. However, in the future, you must listen to orders. Moreover, this team doesn't keep idle people. If you can't do your job well, you'll be shown in the reports in the future. Lu Ming was threatening Tang Zheng. He guessed that Tang Zheng would work in archaeology in the future. His department was in charge of archaeology, so he had the power to decide the life and death of the archaeologists. Of course, there were exceptions. For example, Qi Shaowen was a prominent figure in the field of archaeology. Ordinary people could not threaten his position at all. Tang Zheng may be young, but he has great talent in archaeology. He's not idle, Qi Shaowen retorted. The others also looked at Tang Zheng curiously, especially the other archaeologists. They were especially curious about Tang Zheng's magic to be able to conquer Professor Qi. After this incident, everyone finally boarded the plane. Xiao Bai's big eyes were wide open. It was the little guy's first time on a plane. He could not help but be curious. Tang Zheng, don't worry about it. Just do your job. Qi Shaowen sat beside him and comforted him. Professor Qi, thank you, Tang Zheng said sincerely. Chapter 385. Although it was winter in southern Yunnan, because it was in the subtropics, it was much warmer than the capital. As soon as they got off the plane, everyone felt a warm wave of air blowing against their faces. More than a dozen cars had already been parked outside the airport. After getting on the car, the group went straight to the hotel. Everyone would rest in the city for a day before rushing to the 10,000 mountains. After staying at the hotel, Tang Zheng left the hotel and saw Li Xiaotian, who had already arrived. I found traces of Louis. Li Xiaotian went straight to the point. Tang Zheng was overjoyed. He gave a thumbs up and praised. Li Palace is indeed powerful. These two people were not able to escape your intelligence network. Don't just exclaim in admiration. I found something strange. Li Xiaotian's face sank as he said, Oh. Tang Zheng raised his eyebrows. Something that could make Li Xiaotian feel strange was definitely not simple. What is it? Do you still remember Long Tingyu? Of course. Lewis's men are following Long Tingyu. Li Xiaotian was also puzzled. How could the Rockefeller family be related to the Long family? A trace of surprise flashed across Tang Zheng's eyes. Seeing his expression, Li Xiaotian obviously guessed his thoughts and said, "It seems that you can't guess the reason." "I can't guess. Why don't we go and check it out?" Tang Zheng said. Li Xiaotian laughed and said, "Great minds think alike." Suddenly, Li Xiaotian's phone rang. After she answered, she said, "Lewis has already made his move. He left the hotel and is rushing towards Long Tingyu's villa." "Oh, so they're going to meet?" "Yes. In the past few days, it was only Lewis's men who were following Long Tingyu. This time, he personally came out. I guess the two of them are going to meet." Li Xiaotian said with certainty. Tang Zheng's heart skipped a beat. These two must be up to something when they met. This was also a rare opportunity to find out what they were up to. "Let's go and see what they have up their sleeves," Tang Zheng said without hesitation. Li Xiaotian pursed his lips into a smile and said, "Let's go." Sitting in Li Xiaotian's car, the car went straight to Long Tingyu's villa and stopped at a corner to watch. Not long after, 3 cars quietly arrived outside the villa, but were stopped. After negotiating for a while, the 3 cars drove into the villa's parking lot, and more than 10 people quickly got out of the car. They were all Westerners, and Lewis and Wales were among them. "Let's go. Let's follow them and take a look," Tang Zheng said. Li Xiaotian was also a fearless person. He quickly got out of the car, hid his figure, and quickly approached the villa. Whoosh whoosh. 2 figures soared into the air and crossed the high walls of the villa. They didn't trigger the alarm and quietly landed inside the walls. However, the 2 of them didn't stop. Like an arrow leaving the bow, they rushed to the corner of the villa and avoided a group of patrolling bodyguards. Without a doubt, these bodyguards were Long Tingyu's private armed forces. Each of them was powerful, and there was even something bulging under their black suits. Without a doubt, it was definitely a firearm. As the local tyrant of Dianan, the Long family's armed forces were naturally not ordinary. Fortunately, this was not the Long family's old house, but Long Tingyu's independent residence outside. Otherwise, the security would be even tighter. Li Xiaotian took out a sharp dagger and directly cut open the window glass. The 2 of them entered the villa through the window, and a faint conversation could be heard. "Lewis, why are you looking for me?" This was Long Tingyu's voice, and it was a little cold. Lewis laughed. "I have long heard of young Master Long's great name. This time, I specially came to pay a visit. Your Rockefeller family is not in the Western Empire. What are you doing in Dianan?" Long Tingyu asked. "Of course there's something. This time, I came to find young Master Long because it's a great thing." Long Tingyu was not an idiot. He said with a fake smile, "Oh, then I'd like to hear it. Young Master Long, I heard that you have been entertaining an important guest recently?" Lewis asked. Long Tingyu's expression changed slightly and said, "I don't understand what you're talking about." "Haha, young Master Long. Using your Huaxia's words, I, Lewis, have never fought a battle that I am not confident in. Since I have personally come to visit, then I am naturally not unprepared. You're looking down on me too much by brushing me off like this," Lewis said jokingly. His face was no longer as humble as before. Instead, it was arrogant. As the young lord of the Rockefeller family, his aura was not inferior to Long Tingyu's in the slightest. This made Long Tingyu not dare to underestimate him. However, Long Tingyu was even more shocked in his heart. Recently, he had been entertaining 2 guests. One was Sawada Ichiro, and the other was the demon god. Even the people around him did not know the identities of these 2 people. In order not to be discovered by his family, he did not even return to the Long family's old residence. Lewis had always said that he wanted to see his guests, so how could he not be on guard? The identities of these 2 guests were of great importance, so he would not obediently confess just because of a few words from the other party. "Young Master Long, let's not beat around the bush. Please invite your guest out. I really want to see him," Lewis said as if victory was in his hands. "I don't understand what you're talking about. See the guest out." Long Tingyu's face instantly turned cold, and he unceremoniously ordered the guests to leave. A few bodyguards directly blocked in front of Lewis and the others, their expressions unfriendly. Young Master Long, is this how you treat your guests? Lewis asked without changing his expression. Long Tingyu said disdainfully, you don't have to worry about how I treat my guests. If you don't want to leave, I don't mind throwing you out. Let me tell you, this is Diane and the Long family. What Rockefeller family, in my eyes, is worthless. How dare you insult the Rockefeller family? Suddenly, Wales shouted angrily. So what if I insult you? I still want to hit you. Since you don't want to leave, then don't leave. Get rid of them. Long Tingyu ordered with a murderous aura. Kacha! One by one, the black muzzles of guns were aimed at Lewis and the others. All of Long Tingyu's bodyguards had taken out their guns, revealing their killing intent. Lewis and the others did not change their expressions. Instead, they looked at Long Tingyu with some ridicule. With the deterrence of the gun, Long Tingyu's aura was obviously on another level. He said, I don't know how you know about my guests, but since you know, then don't even think about living. Haha, young Master Long really has a good method. Lewis clapped his hands and praised insincerely. Of course it's a good method. You foreigner, you dare to barge in without asking about my Long Tingyu's name? You're really courting death. Long Tingyu said disdainfully. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian were hiding in a corner far away, restraining their auras. Seeing the tense scene, the two of them were shocked. They did not understand what Lewis was selling in his gourd. Of course, they were also very interested in Long Tingyu's guests. Just who was it that made Long Tingyu mobilize so many people and was so afraid of others knowing? Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian looked at each other and saw the doubts in each other's hearts. However, they could not talk and could only continue to watch how this matter developed. However, the two of them were very sure that these guns were not enough to threaten Lewis. Sure enough, Lewis laughed and said, I know that Huaxia people have always been very proud, but I have to say, there is always someone better than you. Young Master Long wants to kill us with just these few guns. You think too simply of us. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure flashed, and all of Lewis's subordinates moved. All of the pistols changed owners and landed in their hands. Then, with a kacha sound, the pistols were completely deformed and were actually crushed into scrap iron with their bare hands. Long Tingyu's bodyguards were so scared that they all retreated. Although they had some skills, they were completely unable to reach such a level. On the other hand, the dozen or so people on the other side all had such skills. It was simply terrifying. No wonder the other side had such confidence. Long Tingyu's expression changed slightly. His gaze turned cold and said, You dare to make a move? You don't know life from death. Haha, young Master Long, you guys made the first move, so you can't blame us. But can we sit down and talk now? Lewis walked down, crossed his legs, glanced at Long Tingyu, and asked. Obviously, he had displayed his strength and controlled the entire scene. However, Long Tingyu was not a good person either, and said, You want to sit down and talk after making a move in my territory? Are you kidding me? If you don't want to sit down and talk, then it doesn't matter. I think as long as I capture you, your guests will naturally come out and talk to me. Lewis signaled with his eyes, and a few big men immediately rushed towards Long Tingyu. Long Tingyu suddenly stood up and flew into a rage. Kill them all for me. All of the bodyguards made their move like a swarm of bees. Some of them had more than one gun, so at this moment, they all pulled out another gun and pulled the trigger without hesitation. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of gunshots rang out as bullets whistled towards Lewis's men. There were even countless bullets that shot directly towards Lewis. However, Lewis did not move at all and continued to sit on the sofa with his legs crossed. But there was a person standing in front of him, Wells. At this moment, the aura on his body had completely changed. It had become exceptionally sharp, emitting the aura of a man who could hold back 10,000 men. When the bullets came, he casually waved his hand, causing the air to vibrate. The bullets directly brushed past him and flew away. Not a single one of them was able to hurt him, let alone Lewis, who was behind him. Long Tingyu's bodyguards had the advantage in terms of numbers, but this was only the beginning. When the battle started, the advantages and disadvantages of both sides immediately appeared. A minute later, the number of people on both sides had undergone an earth-shattering change. Many of Long Tingyu's bodyguards had already fallen, while Lewis had the upper hand in terms of numbers. Furthermore, these tall and strong fellows were extremely sharp. Many of them had their hands and feet broken by them, and they would probably be crippled for the rest of their lives. The might of thunder. Chapter 386. Not long later, other than Long Tengyu, all of the people standing were Lewis's men. Long Tengyu's eyes were about to spit fire, but he had already understood that since the other party subordinates were so powerful, then he would not be able to gain any benefits by making a move himself. However, he was not afraid. Instead, he was angry. Suddenly, he laughed out loud, and his laughter was very arrogant and unbridled. There is a path to heaven, but you don't want to walk. There is no door to hell, but you insist on barging in. Then I'll fulfill your wish today. Didn't you want to see my guest? Then I'll do as you wish, but you're going to see King Yamas soon. Long Tengyu clenched his teeth and said. As soon as he finished speaking, the atmosphere in the room suddenly changed. A terrifying aura covered the sky and completely enveloped everyone. Whiz! A red shadow flew past. Puff, puff, puff. A few people's chests instantly appeared with large holes. Blood flowed out, and these people instantly fell to the ground and died. In the blink of an eye, these people died. Their speed was too fast for the eyes to take in. Wales revealed a shocked expression as he guarded in front of Lewis. Lewis's expression also changed, but there was no fear. Instead, there was excitement, and he couldn't help but clench his fists. The red shadow didn't stop. Instead, it moved through the crowd like a gust of wind. Lewis's men tried to retaliate, but it was to no avail. In the end, other than Lewis and Wales, everyone fell. Their fatal wounds were the bloody holes in their chests. In an instant, blood filled the air. It was a horrifying sight. Long Tengyu looked at Lewis and Wales complacently and said, "Now you know how powerful I am. You dare to cause trouble in my territory. Humph. Your death is not regrettable." Lewis stood up and patted Wales's shoulder, indicating for him to move aside. Wales tensed up and anxiously shouted, "Young lord, be careful." However, Lewis was unmoved. He walked past him and stared at the red shadow. The red shadow had already stopped and revealed its true appearance. Demon God. This red shadow was actually a demon god. The demon god's eyes flickered with a bloody light, and his body exuded a strange aura. He stared at Lewis expressionlessly and was not in a hurry to attack. Demon God, he wants to inquire about your whereabouts. He definitely has ill intentions. Kill him. Long Tengyu said with a murderous aura. The demonic god was unmoved and asked, "I heard that you were looking for me." "Yes, I'm looking for you, the famous demon god," Lewis said with certainty. Long Tengyu's expression changed slightly. The other party was trying every means to find the demon god. What exactly was he trying to do? "Since you've seen me, you can die in peace now." As soon as he finished speaking, the god fiend took action. He was very fast, but Lewis was not slow either. He turned into a black shadow and instantly retreated to the corner of the wall. Then he stepped on the wall and soared into the air as if he was walking on flat ground. He then flew over the god fiend's head and landed behind him. Long Tengyu turned pale with fright. His skills were not bad, but in front of the demon god, he did not even have the strength to retaliate. However, this Lewis was actually able to escape from the demon god's attack unscathed. This was too unbelievable. The demon god's gaze turned cold as the blood in his eyes fluctuated rapidly. He shouted coldly, "You dare to escape in front of me? Humph, you don't know your place." With a flash of the red shadow, the demon god disappeared, and Lewis once again turned into a black shadow. In the end, he quickly dodged, wanting to avoid the demon god. After a minute of stalemate, the black shadow fell from the sky. Wales immediately rushed forward and caught Lewis. Puff! Lewis opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Lewis laughed instead. The demon god is indeed extraordinary. I am not your match. The demon god snorted and said, It's good that you know. Then end it yourself and save me the trouble of doing it. Long Tingyu's face flushed red. He was extremely excited and said, Foreigner, obediently accept your death. Ha ha. However, Lewis did not even look at Long Tingyu. Instead, he stared at the demon god with burning eyes and said, Demon god, if I die, it will not be good for you. Instead, it will cause you to suffer losses. Boasting shamelessly, the demon god did not believe him at all. Don't think that I can let you go just because you say a few words of nonsense. Since you don't want to kill yourself, then I'll help you. You're not weak. After absorbing your blood, my power can recover quite a bit. Whiz. The demon god quickly rushed towards Lewis. Wales immediately blocked in front of him, wanting to protect him, but with a loud bang, Wales flew out like a kite with a broken string, landing on a pure wood table in a sorry state, shattering the table into pieces. He staggered as he got up, but in the end, he fell to the ground again, never to stand up again. All of this happened in a flash, but Lewis did not move at all. He did not resist at all. Instead, he looked straight at the demon god who was getting closer and closer. Crack! The demon god's hand grabbed Lewis's neck. Seeing that he still did not resist, he could not help but ask suspiciously, Why aren't you retaliating? Of course I won't retaliate, because I won't die. Lewis said indifferently, You've already fallen into my hands. Do you still have the ability to escape? Of course I don't have the ability to escape from your hands, but I believe you won't kill me. Lewis said confidently, Haha, fun. You're much more fun than that brat surnamed Long. However, I have to say that you're too arrogant and conceited. Go to hell. The demon god shouted angrily and immediately increased the strength of his hand. When Long Tingyu heard the demon god say that he was inferior to Lewis, he could not help but feel a flash of anger, but he did not dare to refute. However, the corner of his mouth hooked up into a sneer as he thought to himself, So what if you're stronger than me? You're going to die now, and everything is in vain. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian watched this scene with their mouths agape. The two of them were searching for the whereabouts of the demon god, but they never expected that the demon god was actually hiding in the Long family of Dianan. No wonder the Li Palace had never discovered him. However, the Rockefeller family had discovered the whereabouts of the demon god. In other words, the Li Palace, which boasted of being invincible in intelligence, had been defeated by the Rockefeller family. A look of shame appeared on Li Xiaotian's face. This also showed how terrifying the Rockefeller family's infiltration of Huaxia was from another perspective. Tang Zheng was a little shocked. The Rockefeller family had a great plan, so he had to be on guard. However, he was very puzzled as to why Lewis was looking for the demon god. At this moment, it was obvious that Lewis was about to die, so why didn't he resist? Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian looked at each other and saw the doubt in each other's eyes. However, they had a tacit understanding and did not make a move. They had already guessed that Lewis definitely had a backup plan. Otherwise, it was not his style to be captured without a fight. The bones in Lewis's throat made cracking sounds, as if his throat was about to be crushed in the next moment. Demon God, if you kill me, the demon race will not be able to descend into this world. Lewis suddenly shouted. His voice was not loud, but exploded in the demon god's mind like thunder. He had never mentioned the arrival of the demon god to Long Tingyu, but this foreigner knew about it. It was truly strange. He couldn't help but loosen his grip a little and asked, How do you know about this? Haha. Not only do I know about this, I also know that after the demon race descends, they will definitely be able to rule this world, and my family and I can help you. Lewis said solemnly. Long Tingyu was already dumbstruck. What demon race descends? He didn't know anything, but seeing the demon god's reaction, this matter was definitely not simple. He couldn't help but stare at Lewis in shock. How did this foreigner know so many secrets? If he doesn't die, what will I do in the future? He felt a strong threat. He had formed a strong alliance with the demon god because he could provide the demon god with many things he needed, such as martial warriors. During this period of time, Long Tingyu had tried every possible method to find many martial warriors as for the demon god. The blood of these martial warriors had all been sucked dry by the demon god, allowing him to increase his strength. If Lewis had formed an alliance with the demon god, then his position would be in danger. Of course, he cannot sit idly by and do nothing, so he quickly shouted, "Demon god, don't listen to his nonsense, quickly kill him." The demon god turned his head and glanced at Long Tingyu, his nostrils releasing a cold snort. Immediately, Long Tingyu felt as if he had been struck by lightning. His face was deathly pale, his heart was wavering. A powerful aura made it hard for him to breathe. He immediately shut up, not daring to speak any more nonsense. "Speak. How can you help me?" the demon god asked. Lewis said, "I can provide enough manpower and resources to support your demon clan's formation, so that all the demon clan can descend." "You even know about our demon clan's formation?" The demon god was a little shocked. He obviously did not expect an ordinary human to know so much information. Not only was the demon god shocked, even Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian felt that it was inconceivable. Tang Zheng subconsciously thought of the formation set up by the demon clan in the valley, using blood as a guide to allow the demon god to descend into the world. Could it be that there was an even more powerful formation that allowed the entire demon clan to descend into this world? Then how did Lewis know this secret? What good would it do him to do this? The more Tang Zheng thought about it, the more shocked he became. Without a doubt, the Rockefeller family was brewing a shocking scheme. This scheme was not only related to the survival of a country, but also related to the survival of everyone in this world. He really had the urge to immediately rush out and ask Lewis for a clear explanation. But in the end, he held himself back and stared at Lewis without blinking, waiting to see what he would say. "Demon God, your demon clan has a formation called the Mountain River Blood Sacrifice, right?" Lewis asked casually. "Huh?" The demon god's expression changed slightly, and he looked at Lewis with even more surprise. "You actually know about this formation. This is a great killing formation. Of course, with the mountains and rivers as a sacrifice and the blood of the people as a guide, this formation is enough to allow all the demon clan to descend into this world." Lewis's eyes did not waver in the slightest as he spoke casually. "You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.